Hey, y'all. Welcome to Winning at Life. Live financial news talk radio. And happy Halloween. Scary weekend. In a scary world, it seems. We're going to talk about that. Try to ground you a little bit on today's show about what's happening, what's coming, and no, the sky is not falling. I'll be optimistic here out to start. You know, things are going to get better. Have we been here before? In some ways, yes. But we've got 3 hours for that, and I'll get on some of that maybe this hour. But we're going to have Dwayne Stein, host of Mortgage Gumbo, and his world is interest rates, mortgages, knows a thing or two about buying houses, financing them. Not a thing or two, but probably 1,000 things about that. And, it's his jam. So he's going to be talking with us this hour about what's going on there. So, in the following 2 hours, here's some things I've just noted here that's on my mind this morning. And, I've been in the financial advisory business for a few decades. I've been in this industry for 40 years, kind of long time. You think about it. And I've been in it in variations of that over a 40-year career, which gives me a lot of knowledge, a lot of insight, and I do a tremendous amount of study and reading to stay top of the game. So one of the things, and I was thinking about this coming on to the show today, is how I've defined this show over the past 12 and a half years is we're kind of a sounding board for you. A lot of what I do, I take surveys. We're asking about concerns and worries. And the magic of the show is the callers using us as a sounding board. And that's something I emphasize in my day job as CEO, founder of Gregory Ricks and Associates, the Total Wealth Authority. And when I define it as Total Wealth Authority, some people think of us just as money managers, but oh my gosh, there's so much more. So some of the topics, I'm gonna talk about income planning today. I'm gonna talk about this topic that I keep hearing, ESG. Yeah, and some of you are like, what the heck's that? Well, I'll bring you up to speed, but I'll give you our take on that. And we'll talk about outlooks for the markets today. Volatility is here to stay. Okay. Maybe not for the next 40 years, but probably for a number of years to come. I'm not going to try to put a handle on it, but okay, if you want me to, definitely the next 2 to 4 range of volatility. It's kind of an expectation. And we plan for that. This isn't something new to the game. We plan for it. And then I got a number here, market worries. We're going to talk about that. I had a discussion the other day. Lady said, well, Gregory, if it keeps going this way, it's going to go to zero. It is not going to zero. And actually, she is a client where most of her money is in quantitative tactical, which pretty much most of our money was in 2-year treasury. So there is no going down in that case. And it depends on how you're invested, but we'll talk about that. The market worries. And I interviewed an advisor this week, and I want to share with you his take on the business models out there versus ours. And then I'm going to circle back around and talk more about the sounding board as well. You can reach out to me on the show and be your sounding board today. Also, this hour, Dwayne Stein will as well regarding interest rates, mortgages. Should you buy? Should you wait? Is the sky falling in that business? I don't think so, but there's always ups and downs. And if everything was easy and perfect, you know what they say, everybody would be doing it. And I'll just throw in there with what's been happening the past couple years with escalating prices and spending, that couldn't go on. It's like the darn, go back, look at history and go do some reading on the roaring 20s. Yeah, that didn't end so well, did it? So just kind of put that as a reminder. Go do a little bit of reading on that. That'll help you with what's going on now as well. So reach out to the show. The phone number is 504-2600-995. This is a safe place, just like coming in to my firm for a visit one, and what is a visit one? It is a fit visit. You're not going to make financial decisions. You're not going to have to become a client. You're not going to be asked to. It's a get to know you, and or can we work together? Calling into the show is just a sounding board, and that's what those first visits are as well. Fit visits, kind of a sounding board visit as well. So if you have a safe place to call, ask a question. There's no bad question unless you're off topic from financial services. And I know it's easy to get into those conversations. And I was having a discussion the other day, and and it was I have to lean over and grab another pen, and I was going to define this. And in the meeting, I kind of shared with the couple, and they were asking about ESG and such. And I said, I tell you what, just so you know where I stand, and if you talk to me for long, you won't know that, but I don't put stuff in people's face and do conversions or anything like that, but I am conservative. I can tell you right there. I am conservative, so you know where I stand. And if we're managing money, why are we managing and helping you is to be successful, to grow your assets long term. We're not in the business of losing money. I'm not here to lose your money. This show is not here to give you advice to lose your money. This show is here to help you do better going forward. So if there's some confusion of why or how we do things, and I'm going to add another topic too. I'm getting a good list going here. Somebody said that we weren't aggressive enough. So we're going to talk about, and I'm going to right here define that with exclamations. Yeah, we're not aggressive. Well, we're here to grow, but we're here not to get crushed when the market falls off the cliff either. So you can find us on Facebook Live. We're streaming over there on YouTube, so you can put it on your big screen in your family room for everybody to say. If you've got friends, family, colleagues, business associates, that are worried, have questions, we are the sounding board. Tell them about the show. Tell them to call the office next week, and we will help them with some of their worries. Dwayne Stein, welcome to the show.
How you doing, sir?
Man,
great to be back with you.
I'm doing good. Yeah, it's been a few weeks since you were on, and I'm so glad to have you back. It's great timing with what's going on. Also, reach out to us through the Winning at Life app. You can text, email, call the show through the Winning at Life app. If you want to email in a question, info@gregoryricks.com. What's top of mind this morning, Dwayne?
Well, look, it's exactly what you said. When it comes to the real estate market, I would say these are probably, Gregory, in my lifetime, I've seen these ups and downs. Is it a little bit unique? I would say we're probably more in a more challenged time than we've seen in a long time, right? The world's not coming to an end, but it's more challenged. And I think that is where when the CPI and inflation numbers, when 42% of it is housing, they got to get that on track, right? So that's why it's at the forefront. And that's where it's so important right now to have shows like you, to, what I believe the Mortgage Gumbos, to make sure that we're getting local data and what is the truth out there, right? Because, Gregory, you know this, headlines will scare you, right? So headlines are done for business purposes, which I understand. But so having to make sure that we are getting the right information out to people right now is what Mortgage Gumbo, we're focused on more than talking about loan types. And what I want to share with your audience is something that, you've probably heard of. I've been doing this for 30 years. And, I want to make sure that we share with your audience in the next segment. I want to introduce, if your audience has not heard of, what's called a rate buy down. Not a discount, but this is the new flavor of the day, right? This is those old jeans that you found in your closet that I've been using for 30 years of doing this, and now it's coming back around because rates are elevated. So I want to share with your listeners what is a rate buy down and why right now this is probably something, if you are on the sideline and wondering, should I be buying right now? This is one of the things that we're doing to help people get into the market and feel better about things when it comes to their interest rates and stuff like that. But it's been challenged times, Gregory, no doubt about it. But we prepared for this. We knew this was coming because we're facts driven, not sit back and go, hey, hope things just keep rocking and rolling. These 2.5% rates don't go away. So we've planned for this, and we've got it under control over here.
Yeah, and I do want to come out the gate when we come back from the break. We're about to take that in 30 seconds and talk about that rate buy down. Like, and you don't have to answer yet, but like, is there a price to that? And let me challenge you, versus be patient. Maybe rates go back down and you could refinance. So versus the cost of that. Oh my gosh, what a great weekend for live financial news talk radio. 504-260-0995. We'll be right back.
From the guys who bring you Winning at Life with Gregory Riggs.
My mother just inherited a couple of annuities. If you could explain the difference between a government pension offset and the windfall elimination provision is.
You now make too much income to contribute to a Roth IRA.
Find the Ask Gregory podcast on the Winning at Life app, the iHeartRadio app, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify.
You all are so good.
Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
What's cooking, Gumbo Nation? This is Dwayne Stein, your local mortgage lender. Bread prices up. Milk is up. Inflation way up. I know this can all be overwhelming. That's why you need to know I got you. Tens of thousands have trusted me and my team with their largest investment, the home. So while things look cloudy, let's work to make sure when the dust settles, your family is ready to take advantage. Visit mortgagegumbo.com.
If you like money, you'll love the Winning at Life app. On the Winning at Life app, you can listen to the show live, and if we're not on at the moment, you can hear a replay of the latest episode of Winning at Life. Whether you're getting a late start on your retirement savings or keeping up with the financial news, Winning at Life with Gregory Riggs is there, on demand. Hear the Winning at Life show on the Winning at Life app, your wallet's favorite app.
If you've been listening to Winning at Life for a while now, you probably already know that estate planning is more than just a will. You may need a trust. You definitely need both of your powers of attorney. So what's the plan? Hi, I'm Wes Blanchard, an estate planning attorney at offices in Metairie. Listen, don't leave your loved ones in a bind. Call me and we'll make you a plan or update your existing plan. Find me at wjblanchardlaw.com.
The Ricks Report with Gregory Ricks.
One of their core jobs with annuities that goes back hundreds of years is to guarantee income for life. It has that option in there. We like to use it as a distribution tool of income that, markets go all to hell and your assets won't go down. So that should be part of your blend to help levelize volatility with some risk-averse assets that's going to grow despite what's going on in the markets. It can be pension-like money, and a lot of what we do is bond-like money in that world. Bond-like is what annuities do, not what they are.
Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks, Saturday mornings at 10 on News Talk 99.5 WRNO. Find us on the Winning at Life app or GregoryRicks.com. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
I'm more than recreational. I'm what you need. I'll be your slow ride. That late night, you walk to white high. I'll be your first time.
Winning at Life. Live Financial News Talk Radio. Happy Halloween. I'm going to give you an idea here. Whether you're happy, not happy, concerned, worried, I suggest you get out and vote on November 8th because you're going to see me there at the polls. I've got an opinion. I've got things to say, but this ain't the show for it. But I'll tell you what, I'll go give my opinion at the ballot box right there. And I suggest all of you get out there and do something. And if you want to impact change, go vote. That's where you have a say. And that's what's great about this country. And this country is going to be better. And I think at some point in time, we as a society will dictate that we're tired of crime there. And leaders should, at one point, decide, you know what, we got to do something about this. Because what happened in Pelosi's home yesterday, and I'm not a fan of Pelosi, but I'll tell you what, that was wrong. And so much of what I see is people that want to do bad things are emboldened and think they can get away. And one of the places we got to do something about that is go vote on November 8th. That's my thoughts for the day on that stuff. Rate buy down. So if you want to join the conversation with Dwayne, you're looking like, do I buy a house? What's the outlook? Interest rates? All that stuff. 504-2600-99. Email info@gregoryricks.com. Utilize the Winning at Life app. We're streaming on Facebook Live and YouTube. It's the Winning at Life page. Go check us out there. My personal page, Gregory Ricks. And let's see if we can be your sounding board right now. Rate buy down. So you pulled this out of your playbook from back in the day. You probably hadn't ran this play in a while, but you're looking at running it right now. So tell us about it.
Yeah, so Gregory, right now, what is the most intimidating thing to everyone is interest rates, right? It's a scary number, and the thing about rates is it either looks good on paper or it doesn't. And 2.5%, 3.5% looks amazing on paper, right? That's a beautiful thing. 7.5% doesn't look good on paper. And why? Because it's your total of payment, right? So it makes you, when you start thinking about how much more you're paying for that same house, so to speak. So with a rate buy down, and this has become popular, and I want to make sure that I fully explain it because there's a lot of people in the industry right now who are throwing this term around but not using it correctly. So here's what I want to I want y'all to visualize. I want y'all to understand what I'm about to talk about is a rate buy down, not discount points or buying down your rate. Okay? So big difference. So let's talk about that because this is going to also answer Gregory's question of, why now versus waiting. Okay? And my thoughts are on this is, I show people all the time, put 5% down now and get in the house, even though maybe things are a little bit elevated, versus trying to save 20%. How much longer is that? What are you going to lose in equity? What are you going to lose over the long run? But let's get into a rate buy down. And I want to try to make this as remedial as possible because I want to make sure people don't get confused on this, okay? So, Gregory, when you have a rate buy down, there's different options. So when I say a 2-1 buy down, and this is for all of Winning at Life Nation and Gregory and all the listeners, when you say a 2-1 buy down, what that means is you could buy down the rate by 2%, and it changes each year. It's a fixed rate. So let me give you an example of this. Let's say today the rates are 7%. A 2-1 buy down is going to allow you're going to qualify on 7%. And here's the beauty of what I'm telling people. You think you love the house now that you're buying, or maybe you're a little upset about it. How much are you going to love it when the rates recede? But let me tell you why you're going to love it now. I'm going to qualify you on 7%, which is the highest rate. But for the first year, you're going to make your payment. I qualify you on 7%, but I'm going to give you a payment of 5%. Then in year 2, it's going to go to 6%. Then in year 3, it gets back to where we're at right now. So unlike an ARM, this is a fixed rate. You know where the number is going to get back to. And since I'm not in Vegas and I can't tell you that, October 28th of 2023, everything's going to be great. Rates are going to be in the 4.5s, 5s. This is a tool that we're using to help homeowners buy now and be able to come up with a lower payment. So that is one option. And I'm going to I'm going to explain it, and then I promise you I'm going to dial it in for you. Another option is a 1-0 buy down, whereas let's say the rate's at 7%, it could go to 6%. Now, Greg, you asked what's the cost. Here is the beauty of this. As a buyer, it costs you $0. You are not allowed as a buyer, when you do a rate buy down, you are not allowed to pay 1 red cent. So that means either your seller and your builder or me, your lender, has to pay that for you. So it is a big, big win. So when we're negotiating closing costs and seller paid closing costs, a lot of what we're looking at right now is that buy down, just because, Gregory, like I said, people see a number on a piece of paper. Well, that 7% is not as ugly when I'm telling them they only got to make payments on 5%. So you go, all right, there's no cost to you, but how are the costs accumulated? Well, what happens is, let's say at 7%, your payment is $1,000. Well, at 5%, your payment's $700. Well, that's $300 a month in savings. So we take that times 12 is $3,600. Then we take your 6% interest rate in year 2, and now your payments say $850. So that's another $150 times 12, whatever that number is. You add those two together, and that's what your seller or your builder is paying for you when you're doing the 2-1 buy down.
Okay, so once again, a 2-1.
Yep.
Define that again.
A 2-1 buy down means I'm qualifying Gregory on today's rate, today's market rate of 7%, so to speak. But the builder or the seller or the lender is going to let you, they're going to pay essentially, Gregory, the interest for the first 2 years.
Okay.
So you're going to get to make a payment on 5% for 1 full year, then 6% for the next. So what that's given, Gregory, is folks peace of mind to go, all right, hey, you know what? Now I'm a homeowner. Now I could build equity. It didn't cost me 1 red cent to do this, and I'm enjoying home ownership. And I have 2 years of sort of peace of mind of knowing that my note is equivalent to what it would be at 5 or 6% per this example.
So in 2 years, your payment will be up to that $1,000 a month.
Yes, sir. Correct. Which is what we qualified you on. So it's not like the adjustable rate mortgage where you get qualified and you don't know. And then all of a sudden when that note comes through, you now know. So let's say in 3 years, who knows? The earth stopped rotating and all that, and you still qualified for this. We still have you in a home that you can afford. You may not like the number on a piece of paper, but you're getting all the benefits of home ownership, and it's something you can afford. So that's the beauty, and that's why I say you want to talk about falling back in love with your house. Imagine when you get a raise, when the rates do recede. And Gregory, let's say next summer rates are down to 5.5%, 6%, who knows, but lower. Well, now you can come to me. Now you can use some of your funds. And now we could get you into more of a permanent financing where maybe you buy a discount point at that time and get you into a more normal or acceptable 4.5%. So now we've cut your rate by 2.5%. That's going to be a huge raise. And all your home's done is gone up in value. And it's helped you accumulate more wealth because now you in a homeowner and now your payment's going to be lower. So those are the things that we're doing at Mortgage Gumbo to make sure. So you have a 2-1 and then you have a 1-0. And here's what I'm helping sellers. Like, Greg, we know homes are sitting on the market. It's no secret, right? You drive around and that for sale sign, you got to dust it off. Maybe you got an idea that there's an issue when maybe the for sale sign's kind of knocked over. The little wires are bent because somebody hit it, with a bike or something like that, and it's still sitting there. Well, what I'm helping folks do is, hey, maybe we're helping the listing. If you want that house and that house is sitting, call me, and then as a lender, I'm offering a 1% buy down where it costs you 0, and instead of paying 7%, you buy that house with me, you're paying 6% payment. And again, it costs you nothing. Then when you refinance with me in a year, whatever it is, then you're going to be able to take advantage of what the lower rates are, but it doesn't cost you anything. Right, Greg? Your big thing has always been that I've taken from you. It's the return of my money. That's important. How do I get my money back?
So when we come back from the break, I'm going to talk to Dwayne about how he sees or what his outlook is and where home prices are headed. We'll be right back.
Ask Gregory is the financial podcast from the guys who bring you Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
I'm your host, Gregory Ricks, a financial advisor here to answer your questions and help you win with your money.
Find the Ask Gregory podcast on the Winning at Life app, the iHeartRadio app, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify.
That's exactly what I needed to know. Simple information from good people.
Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC. Ask Gregory is a financial podcast from the guys who bring you Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
Would this be your Social Security, your 401k, pension, lump sum, your debt, student debt, credit cards?
You all are so good. I've listened to you for years. Sometimes I'll pull over to the side of the road and just listen.
Find the Ask Gregory podcast on the Winning at Life app, the iHeartRadio app, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
If you're unprepared for current market volatility and concerned about how it could impact you, take action now. I'm Gregory Ricks. Let us help you devise a strategy to navigate this market. Make sure you're still on track to reach your financial goals. Schedule a visit at GregoryRicks.com. We are Gregory Ricks & Associates, the Total Wealth Authority.
The firm provides insurance services, investment, and advisory services offered only by duly registered individuals through AE Wealth Management, LLC. AE Wealth Management, LLC, and Gregory Ricks & Associates are not affiliated companies.
If you like money, you'll love the Winning at Life app. On the Winning at Life app, you can listen to the show live, and if we're not on at the moment, you can hear a replay of the latest episode of Winning at Life. Whether you're getting a late start on your retirement savings or keeping up with the financial news, Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks is there on demand. Hear the Winning at Life show on the Winning at Life app, your wallet's favorite app.
Cancer Crusaders has been raising funds for cancer research in New Orleans since 1976. Cancer Crusaders, Inc. is a nonprofit, all-volunteer organization with no administrative overhead. Cancer Crusaders has raised over $4 million so far, and all of that money goes to the Louisiana State University Health Sciences Center Foundation and the Tulane Cancer Center in New Orleans, where they are literally working on a cure for cancer. Get involved, donate, volunteer, or attend a fundraiser. CancerCrusadersLA.com.
Fox News, I'm Karen McHugh. Virginia's GOP governor will soon hit the road in support of New York's Republican candidate for that state's top job, Lee Zeldin. He says voters in both states are being driven by one common issue.
It is runaway inflation that's making it almost impossible for ends to meet. That silent thief of inflation is stealing everybody's hard-earned money. It's been let loose by the Biden administration, and it's time to make a real statement.
Glenn Youngkin on Fox and Friends Weekend. Game 2 of the World Series tonight in Houston following last night's 6-5 10th inning win by the Phillies.
It was such a great game, and these types of events, the World Series, they're a lot of fun because they're so important to the young fans.
Fox's Connell McShane reporting from Minute Maid Park in Houston. And Russia's defense ministry says Moscow is suspending that UN-brokered grain export deal with Ukraine. America is listening to Fox News.
Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks is a copyright of Down South Strategies for the private use of our audience. Any unauthorized use of this broadcast without express consent is prohibited. For podcasts, show information, and contacts to our sponsors, go to winningatlife.com or download the Winning at Life app. If you have a financial situation and you're not quite sure what to do, you better call Gregory. We are Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
I know everybody says money can't buy happiness, but it can buy me a boat. It can buy me a truck to pull.
Winning at Life. Live financial news talk radio. Mike could buy you a boat, but you'll have to get on a waiting list for that, the trailer, and the truck. You know, it's one of the things in having a discussion with one of our institutional partners on money management yesterday. And, you know, and in the discussion, I'll tell you, there's a simple answer for inflation. It's inflation. Because as things keep going up, you might not buy it or you'll put it off. You'll wait. Inflation can stop inflation. But the other part of that keeps things up is supply chain shortfalls, meaning it's keeping the demand there. An anomaly derived from COVID, but that's part of what's keeping things there. And supply chain, and well, they're building F-150s, but they can't ship them because they're short on chips and one thing or the other. You know, I don't know. I saw something about eggs being up dramatically. A gentleman posted a picture showing that he had bought 3 dozen eggs, and they were somewhere around, I think, $1.79, something like that for each dozen, and he bought 1 dozen on the receipt 1 year later. He happened to have both, and it showed $7.29 for that dozen. I'm like, oh my gosh, that was ridiculous. $21 for 3 dozen. Lordy, there. You're listening to Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks. If you want to join the conversation, talk about the impact of inflation, 504-260-0995. However, this hour we have Dwayne Stein, host of Mortgage Gumbo. Last segment we talked about a rate buy down, which is a neat concept to help you get in to a house. Hey, Dwayne, by the way, how can they reach you if they're looking?
504-207-7600 or my website, mortgagegumbo.com.
Crack me up. with that. You have to be Dwayne to actually say it that way. I've heard a number of people try it, and I can't do it, and nobody else can do it like you. So that's awesome catchphrase you have going there. Okay, so I was looking a moment ago at 10-year treasuries, and let me get back to my market data page here. 10-year treasuries closed at 4.016, and we had mortgage rates hit above 7% this past week. Am I right?
Yep, they are. But here's the great news, Gregory.
Okay.
The rates, the GDP came out, and as you know, look, after 2 straight quarters of negative growth, Monday it came out, we had some growth, right? So that excited the market, and especially when housing, as we discussed, is such a big part of inflation. The good news was we saw rates. Last week, Gregory, on the show, I was talking about we had mortgage rates on a 30-year conventional at 7.32. At least this week, they're at 7. And how many years, Gregory, just to give you an idea of how off everything is, right, and how they're trying to work these numbers. How many years did we always talk about, hey, look at the 10-year treasury and add 1.75, right? So you just said it's at what, 4? What's the 10-year?
4.016, so 4.01.
Yeah, so that would be 5.75. There's not a person in the world who wouldn't take that right now. So it just gives you an idea of how everything is so off right now because the 10-year, the 2-year, all these things are so just out of whack because they're trying to get them figured out. And, that's where you're having higher mortgage rates right now.
So, and that's what you brought up where I was headed about the 1.75. So what has caused that anomaly? Is it because the people that hold the money are not wanting to let go of it, so they're wanting more yield to let go of it? Help me with that.
Yes, sir. You're 100% correct. Keep in mind, right, a lot of the monies that the investors have right now, it's kind of a catch-22, right? They couldn't collect on payments for folks who had mortgages, and then the new money they were bringing in was all at low premiums, right, at 2.5% rates, 3% rates. So now what's happening is people think, you would think naturally, oh, Dwayne's giving 7% interest rates. He must be making a killing. The margins are so tight right now, Gregory. Let's make it a visual for folks. Think about a tape measure. For me, my whole life, we know what 1 inch is, right? They're nice enough to put a number 1 and a number 2 and so on, right? Then they put those 4 longer lines in between those 2 numbers, and we go, okay, I'm smart enough to know that's a quarter. Then we now having a look at the medium line, which is an eighth. And then what are these little bitty lines at the top that are called 16ths, right? Like I used to measure something and go, oh, it's 2 inches, 2 1/4, and the one little line past it. Well, now I got to know that that's whatever, that number is. That's where rates are right now, Gregory. When people are calling me from rates, we're looking at going, all right, we have 7.375. 7.325, 7.295. I mean, it is broken down into 8ths and 16ths right now because the margins are just so tight. And I think also those 2-year treasuries too, right? Those right now I think are starting to, those aren't in line to where they used to be, right? So there's just a lot of stuff going on. And as an investor, if I'm making less margin going give somebody a 7% rate than I was giving 2.5. And Gregory, I'm going to do whatever I got to do to keep that 3%, 2.5%, 3% interest rate over my head. I'm going to do whatever I got to do. At 7%, if things start going bad, I'll bail out a lot quicker, if that makes sense. As a homeowner, I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, you want my house? I got 7.5%. Come get it. Who cares? At 2.5, I'm not giving that up. So that's just kind of layman's terms on how I like to put it. But think of a tape measure. That's how tight rates are right now. What used to be 4, 4.125, 4.25, 4 every eighth. It's now broken down into 16ths and even tighter than that. It's crazy right now.
Well, knowing and the market's kind of happy right now because it thinks that the Fed may dial back its increase. I don't see that because we had positive GDP growth, but the market is kind of seeing optimism into next year because more 6 months, 9 months out. I think we still got the 3/4, the 75 basis points coming our way here shortly. And then we probably have a 0.5% to 75 next year, then rate cuts in 2024 of maybe a total of 50 basis points. That's kind of where we forecast seeing. And, the whole thing could change in 90 days. But they are wanting to stop the house buying. They are wanting prices to drop because it's a domino effect across society there. And I was just also looking at lumber prices where they are. Now, we had the last at $458. I'm looking back, it's not much different than back when we were in August, just call a date, August 13 of 2018, it was $429 per thousand board feet versus $458. So it's back in that ballpark of what it was a couple years ago in historical ranges that move around. I could find higher numbers back in that. Just if I go back a couple months, we'll be a little bit higher than that, and I can go a few weeks forward, we could be lower than where we are now. But it's in that moving range. It's a tolerance. So I think
home builders, their confidence, Gregory, and you read it, they're at all-time lows, and you know why? So great, lumber's back to where it was in 2019, but can I still build this house, right? Dirt's more expensive than ever. And if Dwayne Stein gets a piece of dirt he's going to build a house on, I'm probably not going to go with the starter house because you're going to have to maximize profit. So that's why you're seeing new home sales or, these home builders or they're slow to get out the gate right now because even though lumber prices have come down, like you're saying, with interest rates higher, it kind of makes it almost an irrelevant number, right? Great. Nails are cheap. And that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to get things to where people now go out and go, oh, I'll go buy that lumber now. It's back to 2019. Or some nails. They're cheaper, right? My hammers.
The builders have to have confidence that they can move that property at about finishing time. And I can see they don't have that. Heck, I wouldn't be confident.
No way.
In that as well.
Way.
So when we come back, we're going to go down that road a little bit more, talk about home prices, and let's see if Dwayne's got something else in his playbook he's holding back that he's going to spring on us. You're listening to Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks. We'll be right back.
If you've got a financial situation and you're not quite sure what to do, you better call Gregory.
People with a lot of money fall into schemes and such. And that's whether somebody calling you on your phone or sending you an email, hey, you won the lottery, send me $3,500 so we can process it. That's what you've got to be careful for on these get-rich ideas. There's no magic bullet out there. If you can do time travel, then okay, there's probably some opportunity to jump back and grab Apple at $2 a share or start helping Bezos in his garage. And one of the things is have somebody you trust to bounce these ideas off of. And when they tell you it's a bad idea, you should take them at their word for it.
Gregory Ricks and Associates, 504-832-9200 or GregoryRicks.com. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
When I was growing up, my mom relied on old wives' tales to get rid of outdoor bugs. One method included putting 2 pennies in a bag of water and hanging them throughout the backyard. And let's not forget Mom's go-to, the citronella candle, which never worked. It's the 20s. We have science and much more thorough ways to get rid of bugs. Call Mosquito Joe. Mosquito Joe has this time-release capsule that they spray that slowly releases their mosquito death over a course of a month. Because mosquitoes suck. NewOrleans.mosquitojoe.com.
Ask Gregory is a financial podcast from the guys who bring you Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
Could this be your Social Security, your 401k, pension, lump sum, your debt, student debt, credit cards?
You all are so good. I've listened to you for years. Sometimes I'll pull over to the side of the road and just listen.
Find the Ask Gregory podcast on the Winning at Life app, the iHeartRadio app, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
The Ricks Report with Gregory Ricks.
You know, one of the things I get questions about often is about investing. Hey, I've got some money. What should I do? Where should I put it? I'll ask next, how much money are we talking about? Well, yeah, I've got $5,000 to invest. So where should I go with it? And then the next question would be, is that emergency money? Do you have another account with emergency money in that? And a lot of times the answer is no. Then my next point would be, that sure sounds like emergency money. And you need to have that before you go elsewhere, saving or investing.
Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks, Saturday mornings at 10 on News Talk 99.5 WRNO. Find us on the Winning at Life app or GregoryRicks.com. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
But you gotta keep your head up, oh, and you can let your head down, hey. You gotta keep your head up, oh, and you can let your head down, hey.
Welcome back. Listening to Winning at Life. We're nearing, this is last segment of hour one. We've got more to come. Bunch of topics. I'll give you a rundown at the beginning of the next hour, but it's a lot of good stuff relative to what's going on and how to look at things going forward. And we have Dwayne Stein here, host of Mortgage Gumbo. What's your day job, Dwayne?
I am a mortgage lender. I lend money. I lend out money at the give you the best loan at the best cost. That's best for you, education and options.
One way I've always looked at Dwayne since I got to know him years ago is he can put deals together. If there's a will, there's a way.
And I'm being challenged, Gregory. I am being challenged more than ever, my man. So I'd make you proud. Your Eagle story, all that stuff, man, I'm earning my stripes right now. That is for sure.
Yeah, and these are challenging times. So the next part of the outlook is we're seeing home prices come down some. This isn't this escalating and people bidding up. Maybe in some markets somewhere still out there, but they're not driving around saying, okay, I'll give you an extra $100,000 for that house if you sell it right now. You know, that world doesn't exist right now. I don't think. You can correct me. But where do you see this going? Because you're in it day to day and have that vibe. We know buying has slowed, so help me out.
So listen to these numbers. Year over year, just came out. The September numbers year over year is down. Pending home sales are down 31%. Okay? 50 mortgages, there will be 50% less mortgages done in 2022 than there were last year. They're projecting that number to fall by another 10% next year, which we know they're probably going to be conservative on that number because the last thing they want to do is say it's going to be another 20 to 25%, right? So they were down September sales, right? Home sales, just buying, people who bought in September. They were projecting 4% was down 10.2. Now, us in the South, right? Real estate is local. Look out your window. What do you see? That's what we care about. We love Seattle, Puget Sound, or whatever they got going on up there in New York and Cali and all the great places to visit, but we really don't care too much about what's going on in their market. In the South, our sales in the South are 8.8%. So it's actually the best in our market right now. We're not seeing this drastic reduction in prices just simply because we don't live in the average home sale prices of $2 million in the New Yorks and the Southwest and the Northwest. So what we're looking at is when you see these sales, it's still a very competitive market, Gregory. So that's where now, but has it changed to where it's more of a buyer's market right now? I would say if I was looking at a pendulum, I would give more weight to buyers right now than sellers, because buyers can look at the rate buy down. What I'm advising my people and why I'm helping more listing folks get their house sold, they're calling me going, can you help me get my house sold? And that's why we even have now on mortgagegumbo.com. If you go there, you click on a link that says sell my house, give me a call, and we can help you, because we're helping create these opportunities on how to get the financing done. We're getting creative with financing to where you can say yes. But then the seller still wins too, because we understand the seller has a number, Gregory. And if you're selling right now, let's face it, to speak frankly, it's death, divorce, debt, or reload distance. Otherwise, you're probably not selling your 3.25 house, even though you want to go live next to grandma and grandpa. You're not selling that 3.5% rate to go get 7% somewhere. So that's what we're working on. We're working on cash is king, how to get you in the house now. Because, Gregory, what is going to happen, and it's the waiting game. What's the cost of waiting, right? And it's easy. You can go, hey, look at how much your rent is, times that, times if you're going to wait the next 2 years. But even more importantly than that, when rates do recede, Gregory, we have so many more people who are approved to buy a home right now than homes available, that I think we're going to see a little bit more of a 20 and 21 again, because people who do have homes at that point, you're going to get back to multiple offers again, right? Everybody going, hey, look, I like this. Greg, in August, before they turned back on the print and press, and I was giving people 5875 and 575, we were rocking. It was almost like people said, I accept this. Right? Like, okay, hey, here's what it is. Let's be a homeowner. This probably isn't a forever home. Let's do a 30-year, and then we'll refinance later on. This isn't the forever loan, right? What we talk about, marry the house, date the rate. Well, at 7%, that's a tougher, she's really got to be good looking for me to swipe right now. You know what I mean? So, so that's the biggest difference. So when those rates do recede a little bit, there's going to be opportunity. But the sellers are getting what they want, in my opinion, but they're opening up, and that's where these buy downs and doing different things like that are coming into play. So the cost of waiting is going to come back to get you, in my opinion, because I'd much rather next year, or say 2024, I'd much rather be refinancing my rate than trying to purchase when all the mice are going to be coming out to get the same piece of cheese, so to speak, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So my short take on that is things are going to be slow, but more houses are going to come on the market because of reasons for houses to sell. And won't be as much so because of low rates, where, that's what we've talked about for years now, how like borrowing 3.5% money, even getting close to 4%. It's like I stole money to finance this house. So like I am not wanting to trade up to 7%. But when this shakes out, we're at treasuries at 4. They're going to probably get to be a bit higher, and then they're going to cycle back. So I think if we had to look 2 years out, what are we probably at? 5.5% on mortgages, maybe, versus 7 right now.
Exactly. But then, Gregory, at that point, then things will be more manageable because those treasuries will be in line. So what's going to happen is the investors are going to give more to the lenders, saying, hey, we want, this person now, so we're willing to let you buy a discount point and take you from 5, and for 1 discount point, not a buy down, for a point, we can get you down to 4.5. Right now, Gregory, if you came to me and the rate's 7 and you go, hey, I want to buy a point, which is the cost is 1% of your loan amount, I might only be able to get your rate from 7% to 6.875. Whereas last year I was able to get you from 3 to 2.45 with a point, right? So that gives you an idea when we talk about the tape measure effect. Everything's in those 16th. They're just not giving you as much. So, yes, the end of next year, into 24, whatever that date was. And if anybody knows that date, please call me because I want to hang out with you. free trip on me to Vegas, and we're rolling, right? If anybody knows the date where rates are going to fall back down. But so my thing is that's when, at that point, then you do that forever financing, right? Then you get that house into the 399, your mid-4s, and then you go, all right, now I got my true loan. I use the money in my equity. I use the money I saved because I only put down maybe 5 or 10%, and then I now do my forever loan. And you fall back in love, like we talked about during your first segment. You fall back in love with that house. Or even more exciting, Gregory, guess what? You're back in charge because now you got decisions to make. Do I want to sell it? Because now my house is back up to maximum value and rates are cheaper, which takes me by why I think in the next year and a half or so, we're going to see a 2020 and a 2021. So having a home to negotiate with is going to put you in a much better situation.
Outlook on housing is I don't see a lot of price dropping. This escalation and paying above asking price is probably going to change, but we're still short over 4 million homes in this country, and buyers are still out there that are needing starter homes, that medium range homes. So that demand is still growing each year. So you may have to date the rate, but you're going to be buying a property that's going to be worth more in 5 years and 10 years out, because there's not going to show up as like, oh my gosh, we got 2 million too many homes in the country. That's not going to be the case.
How much more could we have had rates, houses appreciating at 18 and 20%? It would have shut the market down. And people don't understand that.
Yeah, it needed a cooling off anyhow. So, hey, how can everybody reach you that is looking for some help or want to bounce some ideas off of you or strategize or get you to pull out some more plays to help them?
Absolutely. Look, you could always reach me through Winning at Life through Gregory Ricks' office. You know, they could get you in touch with me or go to mortgagegumbo.com or call my day job, 504-207-7600. We are weekend warriors. We understand now more than even the last 2 years how important it is to be available, and we always have somebody answering calls on standby to get your information, and that's where mortgagegumbo.com is the place to go, to where you can get education and options and facts, data, not headlines.
Thank you, Dwayne. It's always a pleasure having you on, and talk to you soon. That was some really good stuff, people, this hour. I've got some more mortgage stuff that I'll probably touch on. I've got a couple other notes here. We only had him for an hour. We're going to talk about income planning, the ESG, outlook of the markets. You know, is the sky falling? We're going to take a few-minute break. We are Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks. We'll be back in a few minutes.
From the Gregory Ricks & Associates Wealth Management Studios, WRNO FM, New Orleans, an iHeart radio station.
Getting out the vote early. I'm Pam Huso, Fox News. Election Day is 10 days away, but in many states, voters are already casting ballots.
We need everybody to vote. And the good news is that Georgia is turning out early and turning out in record numbers.
Senate Democrat Raphael Warnock of Georgia hopes to defend his seat against Republican Herschel Walker. If Republicans retake control of Congress, it's a good bet they'll launch investigations into President Biden's son Hunter and his business dealings.
We were trying to warn the American public that this level of compromise, and obviously President Biden is compromised. This is affecting our national security.
Wisconsin Senator Ron Johnson, he's leading his Democratic challenger Mandela Barnes, who will be joined on the campaign trail today by former President Barack Obama. He remains hospitalized, but doctors say Paul Pelosi is expected to make a full recovery. Police say the husband of House Speaker Nancy Pelosi was severely injured during a violent home invasion early Friday morning.
Police say Paul Pelosi was able to call 911 as the attack unfolded, and they also say the suspect, identified as 42-year-old David DePappy, gained entry to the back of the home by breaking a glass door. The intruder, who repeatedly called out, "Where's Nancy?" then beat Pelosi with a hammer. Police say Pelosi was struck at least once and is recovering after undergoing surgery to repair a skull fracture.
Fox's Marianne Rafferty. Another ripple in Russia's ongoing war against Ukraine. Russia's defense ministry says it has suspended a grain export deal with Ukraine that was brokered by the UN. That could put the global food supply at risk. America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. I had to check my watch there to see if I'm still in the morning. This is hour 2 of Winning at Life. I know we've got a number of stations joining us this hour. Welcome to the show. Last hour, we had Dwayne Stein on, host of Mortgage Gumbo, and we talked about mortgage rates, so we'll touch on that as a topic a little bit this morning. I am Gregory Ricks, your host. We've got 2 hours to go of the show this morning and a lot to talk about. Some of the things on my mind. Income planning. You know, I'm getting questions about ESG. So we'll touch on that a little bit. Outlook for the markets, volatility. Where's this going? Yeah, I had a question this week from a family, and I'll define it this way. You know, they're just worried, is the sky falling? They didn't ask it that way, but they said, well, if it keeps going this way, it's going to zero. Well, it's not. I interviewed an advisor this week to see if there was a fit to join our team. That isn't to be determined here, and I've not determined that, but it was interesting a take, and I've shared this with you, how I see the industry versus, and in my day job over at Gregory Ricks and Associates, a Total Wealth Authority, I think we have a better way as far as team concept goes. And I want to talk about the sounding board. And there's another topic here. Well, I've got this one. I touched on it first hour, and I was in a meeting this week, and they brought up the ESG and other things. I said, well, just to be clear, we are here to make money, to grow money. We're not here to hurt you or set back or lose money. We have your best interest in mind. We have a process for our best interest. And looking out for you is job one. And I said, just so we're clear, in case you don't know, yeah, I'm probably, you'd call me more conservative. And I'll give it that to you in 2 ways. I'm more conservative as an investor, but I want to grow money. But I am conservative. And where I stand on good versus evil, I'm more conservative. I'm on the side of good. Politically, I'm conservative. But this isn't a political show. This is a show about making money and keeping your money and making good decisions going forward. So just wanted to, so I'm going to check that one off. And then I had somebody say, oh, you aren't aggressive enough. Okay. I totally disagree, but it depends on your definition of aggressive. If you think all your money should be in stocks, yeah, that's not me. And how's that working for you lately? Well, past few weeks, probably much better. And I even noted down here, rig counts, you know, this oil thing that's going on. And I don't know, it's conundrum there. But, you know, one of the things on what's this problem. Diesel has come up as a shortage. And then I was reading this morning about oil company profits have been record. And my wife and I was having a discussion about that yesterday evening. And people were basically, and you hear the talk is, oh, the oil companies are just taking advantage of this, making too much profits, gouging. I'll tell you who's really, really making some money as far as margin, the Saudis. They've been pumping out of those wells for a long time. Their cost per barrel is probably one of the lowest on the planet. We probably got some places here that are pretty low, but not at the volume that they pump. And oil prices are based on U.S. dollar, but I'm going to help you with this. Oil prices are looked at as a global commodity. It's not a U.S. deal. We're not the only ones doing it, and it's not based on what we do, but from using the U.S. dollar is, it's kind of, we are the global currency. Everybody likes dollars for the most part, or should, but that's what oil is based upon is U.S. dollars, but it is a global. We're not the only ones in the oil business here. And that's what determines that. And as oil prices move, so does that gallon of gasoline there. And if oil's higher, yeah, those companies make more money. The thing is, nobody worries about them, when they're drilling dead holes in the ground and losing money on research and stuff going bad. But they have to spend money to go to find it and get it to production. It costs money, and they're going to have to set aside from that, because in the future, no matter which side you are on the green side, we can't abandon fossil fuels. That's not something that's going to happen overnight, and it's probably not something that you can abandon over the next few decades. It's something that probably by force and literally burning through fossil fuels the next 100 years, better find a better way. And the markets will dictate and make that change. And people still got to heat their houses. We can't go back to doing it with coal and burning trees. Some of the when you kind of go away pre-oil and natural gas and such. Oh, we were a polluting world, and there's a lot more efficiencies today. Hey, there was a story I was reading about New York, and this ties into so many things of how industries change and such. And for example, in New York, one of the biggest costs to the city up there were those having to keep the streets clean back in the early 1900s. The horse and buggy world. Boy, that was some nasty jobs doing that. And then the cars came along and rail and stuff, and like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen to all these people? They're all going to lose their jobs. Well, it looks like they transitioned and found others, and if they went to work for Ford, they were probably doing pretty good, making pretty good money. Ford was paying more than anybody else on building cars, and he figured out how to build a lot of them and get them in everybody's hand. But that kind of changed things to where, oh my gosh, New York was one of the nastiest cities. The big cities were nasty. Why? Well, horses, got to do their thing even while they're pulling buggies around. So, see, things change over there, and it does work out. It wasn't like, oh my gosh, we got to get rid of all the horses. It didn't become a global phenomenon like, oh, we got to do away with the horses. But now we're wanting to get rid of cattle for another reason. I haven't done research on this, but when we go back to the 1800s, early 1800s, like how many buffalo were out west roaming around? There was a lot of them. I guess there was a lot of them possibly polluting as well. So, okay, I digress. It was just things running around in my mind as all of this goes on. But I want to share something with you. I did this last hour, but a lot of us are concerned, and I'm worried about crime. I'm worried about the economy. I'm worried about the markets, and some people are like, I was having a discussion with a client, and I could hear in her voice, she's like, because I was explaining to her how the outlook was, how I see things going the next couple years. And we have historical reference for what is happening now. And you could just see her thinking that, I'm way too optimistic and positive. And I just said, Jane, you know who I am. I am the glass half full guy. Do I worry? Heck, I lose sleep over worrying about your money. That's my job. That's what I do. I will wake up thinking about that. I will think of charts. I will think about client cases. I will think about the firm. I think about all these things, and yes, I worry. I worry about the war in Ukraine. I worry about the crime. I worry about the markets, and yet it bothers me to see the market down, like the S&P 500 using Vanguard's total return index fund. It's off 17.9% this year. The bond market is off somewhere a little over 15%. That bothers me. But I know historically, this is just a hiccup. Historically, we have, in part, everybody's ruined. The past 9 years of 10 have been up. The previous 10 years, 9 of them was positive years. If I ask people, when I ask them, I'm like, what's the negative year out of the previous 10 years? They get it wrong 90% of the time. And it was 2008, and the market was off about 4.52%. And once again, I'm basing that on Vanguard's total return S&P 500 fund. And everybody's kind of spoiled. But you have a voice in what's going on, and it comes on November 8th. I challenge all listeners, friends, family, colleagues, businesses, get out and vote. We all have a say, and it's called a vote. One day, as a society, we're going to get tired of crime and do something about it and put leaders in that are going to do something about it, like what happened at Pelosi's house last night you heard on the news. I don't care for Pelosi as a leader. However, I care about crime happening to people, and that should not have happened to them, and criminals feel emboldened that they won't be punished. Let's go vote November 8th and put a stop to it. This is Winning at Life.
Ask Gregory is a financial podcast from the guys who bring you Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
I'm your host, Gregory Ricks, a financial advisor here to answer your questions and help you win with your money.
Find the Ask Gregory podcast on the Winning at Life app, the iHeartRadio app, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify.
That's exactly what I needed to know. Simple information from good people.
Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
Hello, Gumbo Nation. This is Dwayne Stein with Mortgage Gumbo, and I want to thank you for almost 8 years. You've been listening to me weekly on Mortgage Gumbo, providing you with free education and options advice when it comes to home lending. And while these times may be unique, we've got this. For more than 30 years, I've been mortgage lending in your market, getting clients just like you the best loan at the best rate for the cheapest cost you qualify for. Let's chat. Visit mortgagegumbo.com.
If you like money, you'll love the Winning at Life app. On the Winning at Life app, you can listen to the show live, and if we're not on at the moment, you can hear a replay of the latest episode of Winning at Life. Whether you're getting a late start on your retirement savings or keeping up with the financial news, Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks is there on demand. Hear the Winning at Life show on the Winning at Life app, your wallet's favorite app.
Half of estate planning is having a plan put together for your loved ones when you pass away. The other half of estate planning is dealing with someone else's plan when they pass away. Sometimes they have a great plan, but sometimes you need a little help. Don't leave your loved ones in a bind. Call me, and we'll make sure you have a plan. Hi, I'm Wes Blanchard, an estate planning attorney in Metairie. What's your plan? Find me at wjblanchardlaw.com.
The Ricks Report with Gregory Ricks.
If you do not have money set aside, you do not have retirement assets, you don't have significant savings, you're thinking, well, when should I turn on Social Security? I'll answer that for you right now. You should probably work as long as you possibly can and as much as you can, because that means you defer Social Security as long as you can up to age 70. And you can keep working past that. That's fine. But at age 70, you have to turn it on because you've maximized it there. And you've created the largest possible payment, and you're going to need all of that.
Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks, Saturday mornings at 10 on News Talk 99.5 WRNO. Find us on the Winning at Life app or GregoryRicks.com. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
Nowhere to go, nowhere to be. I got my shades on, top back, rolling with the music jack. One on the wheel, one around you, baby. Sunset, I bet there's a chance we could get sure enough tangled up, laid back and lazy. Pour it on easy now.
You're listening to Winning at Life, live financial news talk radio. You can join. Hey, one of the things, how I look at this show, and that was my public service message on the back end of that, but we're going to talk about money for the rest of the 2 hours here. I've got more audiences joining hour 3, so I'll probably do a plug for voting then as well. I think it's important. And my wife, if she had a chance to talk to you about it, she could probably go for an hour on the importance of that. But I think I've enough said on that. But what I think is important about this show, and I've after college, I got into financial services. And one of the reasons is compounding interest. Just fascinated me. And and because of reading self-help books, is probably something that led me to focusing on being a better person. Probably a lifelong challenge to always get better. And there was some people regarding self-help that were salesmen in the world. And I read a number of books written by Zig Ziglar. And it was just, that guy is more than a glass half full guy, is one of the most positive people I had read about at that time, and he was also a master salesman. But when I look at that and what I kind of define that when I kind of talk about that, I then started reading a lot of sales stuff. Why? It was people stuff is what that's about. It's learning reasoning. It's learning to deal with others. And how to be better at dealing with people. You know, it's kind of like if you're having a discussion and you want to get your reasoning across, there is a way to go about it, because there's definitely a wrong way to go about it and have the door closed. So that it kind of leads me to, maybe I wasn't always a half full guy, but I have been a half full guy for a long time. So one of the things is having open discussions, and how I think of my day job. I'm founder, CEO of Gregory Ricks and Associates, the Total Wealth Authority. And we are financial advisors that help people with their money. And we work in a number of areas, and everything is process driven with the client. The focus is to help them make good financial decisions and give advice that's absolutely in their best interest. We can't give any other advice. If we can't help them, then we're probably not a fit. If we're not on the same page as far as process philosophy, we're probably not a fit. But we're going to give advice based on that. We think this is the best thing for you going forward. So I also kind of define that as sounding board. And when we started this show, have we made it 13 years yet? I can't remember where we're at. We're on the way to 13 years. June will be 13 years of the show. So we've done this for over 12 years. And one of the magic parts of the show is what Brad has just done, called in to the show to talk about. And his question looks like it's going to be probably about the market. But with that said, the show has actually, what the magic of it is, the callers calling in, the listeners calling in. And I actually have defined it differently today. You know what this show is a sounding board where people feel comfortable reaching out, saying, hey, I've got this. I was thinking about doing this. What do you think, Gregory? That's what we are for our clients. And our clients see us that way for their friends, family, colleagues. They know we're non-threatening. If you come in and visit with it, it's a fit visit. You're not going to make a financial decision. Nobody's going to pressure you. And, the max we do a meeting is 60 minutes. If you need to sound more stuff off, we'll schedule another visit. But it is sounding board, a place where you could I need some help on this. I've got questions about this. I need to talk about this. And I can give you so many examples of that. But to join the conversations on the show, the number is 504-2600-995. You can reach out to us through the Winning at Life app, text, email, and call the show through the app. We're streaming on Facebook Live and YouTube, so go put us on your big screen, relax, enjoy the show. So let's go to the hotline. Brad from Slidell, you're on Winning at Life. How can we help you?
Long-time listener, first-time caller. I just wanted to tell you that I'm a retired military officer, and my house was paid off about $500 and something thousand, and I refinanced through the VA at 100% and took the money out and at 2.8% interest and invested it in the market, and I'm making a killing right now.
Awesome. Well, from my standpoint, you come to me, I'd have difficulty with it because that's house money. So from an advisor standpoint, I don't need to know that part because that's house money. You have debt on your house and you've put it at risk there. I am glad it's going well for you despite that. The S&P's somewhere off a little bit over 17%. At safe money area, bonds is off over 15%. But one thing I tell people, this is also opportunity, that comes along. And one of the thoughts, and I'll share with you, and I'm sure you've got more to ask me, but we're off. Vanguard's S&P 500 Total Return Fund is off 17.9% as of now. And a discussion I was having yesterday, hey, the market could be off another 10%. Well, that don't get us to 30, but if we got to 30% off on a short dip, oh my gosh, that's opportunity right there, because it rarely happens, because history tells us this always comes back and eventually it's going to set new highs in the future. I don't know if that's next year or 6 years out or 7 or 4, but that's where we're headed. Is this is kind of the norm. So how can I help you, Brad?
Well, I just wanted to say that with a VA loan, it's assumable. I heard you talking earlier with Mortgage Gumbo, and I know this is not my forever home. So if the interest rates go up to 8, 9, 10%, if I decide to sell in the near future, I'm 64 now, and if I decide to sell and move out of state, the loan, from what I understand, is assumable. And is that not correct?
You know, I'm not going to be 100% sounding board on that and answer that, but that hasn't been brought up in a long time. And I think more loans used to be assumable and would see loans that are assumable. But when I go on the break, I'm going to research that, maybe speak to Dwayne about that if I can grab him on the phone. But that is a cool option. And if you really do have that, of course, they've got to qualify for it, and that probably won't be easy. Got to, be a pretty good credit. But that is like passing on stolen money, so to speak, when you do that. Yeah, like, oh my gosh, that is ridiculous. You're at 2.8, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
And it makes the home affordable to a veteran. Now, you have to be a veteran to assume the loan, but if a veteran comes in, instead of paying 8 or 10% on a home loan, he can pick up and take over my mortgage.
That is crazy. Let's see. I've got a note here that just came to me. For all VA loans committed on or after March 1 of 1988, you may sell your home to someone who agrees to assume your loan if the loan holder or VA approves the credit worthiness of the purchasers.
Exactly.
So
that's exactly it.
And then there's some rules. Money, but go ahead. Yeah.
I took the money and I invested it in what I call the current administration's proof stocks. I bought a lot of Western Union. I bought a lot of because my laborers that used to work for me, I asked them how they sent their money home, and they told me through Western Union or MoneyGram. And when the stock those stocks were down almost nothing, and now with I took advantage. I knew what was going to happen, and with more people coming in from Central and South America, now they send in money home, and those stocks are going up considerably.
That is an interesting take. Do you have the ticker for Western Union? Let's see if
yes, I do.
Okay, want to share it?
No, I don't have it.
Okay.
Right. I'm driving right now.
Okay. I'll have it up here in a moment and kind of look at that. Raytheon was another one I invested in, being prior military, because I knew they were with the Ukrainian war. I always apply stocks to current events, and I try to forecast out, like, how is this going to affect the stock market. And I know that the Javelin missile systems, from being an infantry officer, we're going to have to be those missile systems are going to have to be replaced. And I invested in Raytheon was one of the other stocks I put money in. Yeah, their business is going up. They're having to build more missiles. Fossil fuels have been in demand, higher prices. You're listening to Winning at Life. We'll be back in a couple minutes.
You all are so good. I've listened to you for years.
Ask Gregory is a financial podcast from the guys who bring you Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
I am near retirement, and I wish I would have been listening to y'all for the last couple of years.
Learn the ins, outs, do's, don'ts, rules, and tools of the financial world.
I have a broker. He has no idea what you and I just talked about.
From your 401k to your IRA to your pension to your Social Security to your Medicare.
Hi, Greg. Appreciate your service to the community.
From your ETFs to your precious metals.
The program helps to ground me. There's some personal, real life there.
Find the Ask Gregory podcast on the Winning at Life app, the iHeartRadio app, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify, and wherever else you can find podcasts probably.
That's exactly what I needed to know. Hey, I love your show.
Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC. The firm is not affiliated with the U.S. government or any governmental agency.
Hi, I'm Gregory Ricks. Today we see rising costs at the grocery store and the gas pump. Have you prepared for rising inflation and higher taxes in your financial plan? Get our guide, Inflation and Your Retirement. Go to GregoryRicks.com/inflation to get our guide today. We are Gregory Ricks & Associates, the Total Wealth Authority.
Our firm provides insurance services, investment, and advisory services. Offered only by duly registered individuals through AE Wealth Management, LLC. AE Wealth Management, LLC. And Gregory Ricks & Associates are not affiliated companies.
If you like money, you'll love the Winning at Life app. On the Winning at Life app, you can listen to the show live, and if we're not on at the moment, you can hear a replay of the latest episode of Winning at Life. Whether you're getting a late start on your retirement savings or keeping up with the financial news, Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks is there, on demand. Hear the Winning at Life show on the Winning at Life app, your wallet's favorite app.
We are living in historic times, extraordinary times. A lot of people need help right now, and I want you to remember your local food bank. Now, here in New Orleans, it's Second Harvest Food Bank. Over in Mobile, they've got Feeding the Gulf. But you can find your local food bank, feedingamerica.org. Food donations, monetary donations, or I know you've got some free time. Find your local food bank. Support your local food bank, especially in times like this. Do some good. feedingamerica.org.
Fox News, I'm Karen McHugh. Officials in Ukraine are accusing the Russians of blackmail and inventing terror attacks following today's explosions in occupied Crimea. Russia says in response they will suspend participation in the UN-brokered grain deal with Kyiv. Georgia's tight Senate race between incumbent Democrat Raphael Warnock and GOP challenger Herschel Walker is being closely watched. Warnock says his opponent isn't fit for the office.
When I pointed out the fact that Georgia needs to expand Medicaid, and I'm doing everything I can at the federal level to help Georgia to do what it should have done a long time ago and take 600,000 Georgians out of the health care coverage gap, he said if you're able-bodied and you have a job, you have health care.
Election day is 1 week from Tuesday, and officials in South Korea say dozens attending a Halloween fest in Seoul are in cardiac arrest after being caught in a crowd surge. America is listening to Fox News.
Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks is a copyright of Down South Strategies for the private use of our audience. Any unauthorized use of this broadcast without express consent is prohibited. For podcasts, show information, and contacts to our sponsors, go to winningatlife.com or download the Winning at Life app. If you have a financial situation and you're not quite sure what to do, you better call Gregory. We are Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
I'm hooked on kissing you, getting you turned on, buzzing and loving on you all night long. Like
You're listening to Winning at Life, live financial news talk radio. I'm your host, Gregory Ricks. We've been doing this for better than 12 years. We are your sounding board. That was some good information Brad shared with us. No, we're not here a stock picking show. And yeah, that ticker symbol for those listening is WU. And then I believe he mentioned Raytheon, and that's RTX. And Raytheon actually has had a run-up of late, and Western Union's kind of gone the other way of recent. But what was pretty cool that Brad shared with us is the VA loans out there. And let's see, is a VA, here's how to assume a VA loan for those kind of like, oh my gosh, let me find a house that has a VA loan. So you have to, how to assume a VA loan. Find a home seller who will allow you to assume their VA loan, verify that you meet VA's minimum credit score and income requirements, agree to assume all obligations of the existing loan, pay the funding fee, down payment if required, and closing costs, and exchange your VA loan entitlement. And I'm sure there's more, but it is something interesting from that standpoint, just not something talked about. I don't know what else out there is assumable, but there probably is a good bit more. And here's the big deal on assuming, and that is qualifying to assume. And then the other, like for Brad, he 100% essentially cashed out. He borrowed 100% of the value. He's got pretty darn credit, by the way, for that as well, and probably has a little bit of pull. His officer in the military has some VA cred there. And once again, Brad, thanks for calling in the show, and we appreciate your service to our country very much. So, and others can be assumable out there probably, but it's the qualifying part of it. And then sometimes when you've got something to assume where he's kind of got the value of the property borrowed out of it. So he's not going to sell it for a discount. He's going to sell it for what its value is. But some of the problems sometimes when somebody has something that's assumable, and let's say it's worth $200,000 and they've got an assumable loan that has a value of $100,000. Well, you need to come up with $100,000 to buy that house and assume that loan in that case. So that's where a lot of the hiccups that makes it tough for somebody to buy is they've got to come up with that other part that either needs to be cashed or they got to borrow that money or pick up a second in that case. But he did a pretty sweet deal knowing he could make use of that money. He trusted his risk analysis on where to go elsewhere with that. Well, heck, he can get more through 10-year treasuries than he was paying on interest of that. So doesn't necessarily have to expose that money to risk. And what I was getting at when talking to him is that's something you couldn't work with our firm on, is we don't want to work with house money, literally. I know house money could be like free money, but this house money is money that he took out of his residence. We're not fans of borrowing money and putting it to risk. And that's where I was going with that. And that's not something we advocate and would advise against that. So there's clarity regarding the borrowed money out there. Okay, so once again, like Brad, if you want to join the conversation, 504-260-0995. And I work in the world of helping people with their money, helping them with their investments. We are money managers as well, and we use institutional guidance, and we utilize the Invest 50-50 philosophy. But it's not just about managing the money. I think part of what's important that we are a sounding board. When somebody's got ideas or thinking of doing things, or what about trying this? And we work with clients that kind of do some of their own investing, but also we work with them on that money as well. And I'll tell you, we got a lot of cases. They might do a little bit of investing, but we're handling most of the assets. Probably a good idea. We don't need them to mess that up, because, especially close to retirement time or in retirement time, how many redos are you going to get on that money? None. Unless you're going to go back to work for another 30 or 40 years to build it back. Think about it. How many redos are you going to get? You've got one chance to really get this right, because the alternative is, and let's say you're 60. You're going to go back to work for 30 years and build it back up if you make bad decisions on that. Another thing to think about in your worries and what's going on, and I'll share with you just real briefly here, I think we have more pain coming. I still think we probably hit that recession next year. They're raising rates. We had GDP up, 2.6%? 2.6, 2.7. Okay, that's positive. The Fed's wanting things to slow down. That's a sign of where the previous quarter, we were slightly negative, which, it doesn't feel like a recession. Some people think it does feel like it, but it does feel like inflation out there. But the Fed's raising rates. Why? They want things to slow down, because they got to sop up all that excess money, and money still, too much money chasing too few products creates inflation. Oh, yeah, look, oil prices have something to do with that as well. And so there's quite a bit of disruption globally that's impacting that as well. So I think we probably will see that recession show up probably anywhere from second to third quarter of next year, maybe into fourth quarter, might be third and fourth, but we think that's showing up later next year, the impact of that. Because why are they raising rates? They want to slow the buying down. Why are mortgage rates going up? Because they want to stop the buying out there. They want to slow the spending. It's kind of where I told the story earlier that it was, we'll see if I can find that. Well, I'm not going to take the time. But this guy shared receipts from shopping. Last year, he happened to have a receipt at the store, and he recently went and bought eggs again, and it was like a couple bucks a dozen versus $7 and change for a dozen eggs. And it's like, oh my gosh. Well, the receipt last year he bought 3 dozen. The receipt this year he bought 1 dozen. So I guess consume less eggs. That's kind of the purpose of inflation. It'll slow down the buying. And the answer for inflation, simple. Inflation. It will slow down the buying. It's just markup on cars, on new cars. You know what? I guarantee you a lot of people are like, nah, I'll wait. I spoke with a gentleman yesterday afternoon in a parking lot, and I commented, he has one of those new Broncos, and he had to, and we were kind of talking about that, and he actually paid a little bit of markup to get that. And I mentioned I did a deal, but I would have took a pass on the deal for the markup. And he says, yeah, that's one thing about us. We're older. We're more patient. I said, yeah, I was looking for a long time. I could be looking for much longer. I said, I'm fine with that. I'm not in a hurry. I don't have to pay the markup. Some things I'm going to buy me some eggs, still buy some milk. Steaks cost more. I'm going to buy me some steaks. But some things like, oh no, I'm not paying that, or I'll pause that. Sometimes we have to readjust our thinking on things as well. Some of that thinking is regarding income planning and how you think about that. When we come back from this break, I'm going to talk about income planning and how to look at that and to understand, along with, and I'll do an add-on here of Social Security decisions, and I'll tell you about guidance I gave a family here recently regarding that decision. If you want to join the conversation, one of the favorite historical topics for the show has been Social Security. Man, I've got a stack of stuff. I think one of our upcoming shows, I think it's going to be the whole 3 hours is going to be Social Security. You're listening to Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
If you've got a financial situation and you're not quite sure what to do, you better call Gregory.
The single biggest financial regret of Americans surveyed by Bankrate was waiting too long to start saving for retirement. Respondents 50 and older expressed this regret at a much higher rate than younger respondents. Morningstar calculated how much you need to sock away monthly to reach the magic number of $1 million saved by 65. Assuming a 7% annual return, you'd need to save $381 a month if you start at age 25, and almost $5,800 a month starting at 55. You see, that just really becomes an obstacle when you delay.
Gregory Ricks and Associates. Find us at GregoryRicks.com or call 504-832-9200. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
Oh, Rover, you have fleas again? Prevent fleas and ticks from setting up shop in your backyard. Those bloodsuckers can bite up to 400 times a day and carry nasty diseases like typhus and tapeworms. Give Rover some relief and contact Mosquito Joe. Their mosquito control services also kill and prevent fleas and ticks. Let Mosquito Joe be your first line of defense against those blood-sucking pests. NewOrleans.MosquitoJoe.com. NewOrleans.MosquitoJoe.com.
Ask Gregory is a financial podcast from the guys who bring you Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
I am near retirement, and I wish I would have been listening to y'all for the last couple of years.
Learn the ins, outs, do's, don'ts, rules, and tools of the financial world.
Hey, I love your show.
Find the Ask Gregory podcast on the Winning at Life app, the iHeartRadio app, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify.
That's exactly what I needed to know.
Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
The Ricks Report with Gregory Ricks.
At the core, I always tell people, I'm not here to make you rich. I'm here to make sure you don't run out of money, that you don't run out of income. That's how I look at my job. Over time, saving, making good decisions can make you rich. But what you have is, what is your core thing? Your core thing should be making money. And your core thing, you should set aside money to work elsewhere. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to put it to risk. You could put it to safety. But your core thing makes you money. Or you tell me your core thing is the market, day trading, or gambling in the market. It shouldn't be. You should have a core thing that makes you money, and you peel some off for the future when you're done with your core.
Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks, Saturday mornings at 10 on News Talk 99.5 WRNO. Find us on the Winning at Life app or GregoryRicks.com. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
I'm having a record year. Quarter notes and Hank's half.
Winning at Life. I'm your host, Gregory Ricks. If you want to join the conversation, reach out to us through the Winning at Life app. You can go stream us over on Facebook Live. Go over there and check us out on the Winning at Life page. And my personal page is Gregory Ricks. Check me out there. And you can email info@GregoryRicks.com. Before I get into this, because I might burn this to the last second, it's a lot to talk about in just a few minutes. But if you're looking for some financial help, a sounding board, maybe to start a conversation, to see if there's a fit, because it goes both ways. You should be determining if we're a fit to work with you over at the firm in my day job. If we're a fit to help you, and the other side of that is, are you a fit for us? We don't work with everybody. We're not trying to be everything to everybody, but we're everything to a select few that are looking for a long-term relationship and seek a work-optional lifestyle. And I'll help define our ideal client. It's a nice person, be nice to our staff. They're great stewards of their money, and they believe in our process. So that kind of gives you an idea of who we're looking for. And if you want to start that conversation, have a fit visit. Not expecting you to make a decision on that first visit. It's a fit visit. Here's the office. We got Baton Rouge office, Mandeville, Louisiana also. New Orleans area is the Metairie office, and over in Mississippi we have Gulfport. 504-832-9200. There's only one number to call, no matter where you want to be or go to, or start with a Zoom meeting, or just maybe start with the sounding board. 504-832-9200. Website's real easy. It's GregoryRicks.com. So, and one of the biggest things of all these areas that we work in, and it's a process, and there's a number of columns to do that. Supports. It's income planning. It's investment planning. It's tax planning. Huge topic these days. Tax planning, estate planning, healthcare planning. It's cash management, risk analysis, and being a sounding board is just an idea of some of the areas that we work in. One of the most important is income planning, because I'll ask you, is there retirement? Is there a work optional lifestyle without income? There is not. If you are able to seek and have accomplished that work optional lifestyle, you've developed a game plan for generating income if you no longer want to be at that particular job. Here's kind of one of the core rules I look at is are you able to generate a 4% stream from your assets that meet your income goals? So when we look at, there's so many things we look at, but let's just get fundamentally here. You know, what are your Social Security capabilities at full retirement age? And if you're looking for one or both of you to turn it on earlier, we want to do analysis on that. We also want to do analysis if you wait longer. And that doesn't mean both of you make that same decision, but kind of like, okay, if I need $80,000 a year in income, you kind of, and if you need that, I said, I need that off of investable assets. Well, you probably need somewhere in the ballpark of $2 million. But it also, that number is dependent upon how you manage your money. We'll make it simpler, less scary for a lot of you. $40,000 in income. If you're generating a 4% income, you need $1 million to do that. $500,000 to generate 4% income, because it's also depends on how you're managing risk. If you're using mostly stocks, one of the things is down years, sequence of returns. You know, how much are you leaning on that risk of taking income in down years? Because it's going to, I know we had the anomaly, 9 of the previous 10 were up years. 2008 was all 4.52% according to Vanguard's S&P 500 fund. We're not always going to have up years. So sequence of returns can impact you because, you know, it's the opposite of putting money in the market over time. Dollar cost averaging is your advantage on monthly contributions invested over years. It's the opposite effect when you're taking distributions. It creates a faster spin down. So if you're heavily weighted on risk, that 4% number is probably high for you when you start looking at how things have performed over the past 20 years. So you need diversification from asset classes. And that's really important from an income decision. Then we take in mind, do you have pension? Do you have Social Security? Do you have rental income? What are your sources of income? Because if somebody comes in and says, well, you know, I need this, but I'm deferring Social Security, we have to look at the impact of assets. Maybe you shouldn't wait that long to start Social Security. Maybe you might be taking too much. You might not be in good shape for retirement. All things considered, I'm still needing to take 6% of off of assets. And if you're in your early 60s, we have to look 30 years out. Are we investing? And here's a question I've asked a lot lately. Are we investing for 2 years or 30 years? And it's okay if you want to run out of money at age 110. See where I'm going with that? I don't want you running out of money at 90, but we could work the math out and you're running out of money at age 110. I'm okay with that. We're not likely to live that long. But we are, the increasing is the likelihood of living well into our 90s is what's coming with better health, better eating, better medication. Science technology is going to quadruple the next decade. The previous decade, it improved more in that 10-year period than the previous 500 years. So think of a multiple of that keeping you healthy. Then let me shift to Social Security decisions here. There's a discussion recently where a couple was one was a few years older than the other, but was thinking of waiting to 70, and the younger spouse that is, let's say, 3 years younger, their Social Security benefits almost already equal to that, and they're still working and going to defer. And I'm like, well, we were both thinking of waiting to 70. I'm like, well, she probably should go ahead, turn it on in January because her 70 age year is the following year. Why wait? Because you're giving up $36,000 versus an 8% increase. It takes you by deferring that one more year, it takes you 15 years to catch up on that $36,000 you chose to pass. And why? Because the other Social Security benefit's going to be the larger benefit, and it's going to grow more. That's the one that's going to defer because it's already there. That one's already the larger benefit, so why are we waiting? Let's start taking money now. Remember, you can say, well, it grow 8%, but that money also has value now of being taken. So this rule, it doesn't always mean to defer. I've always kind of said over the years, if you love your spouse, you'll defer. Well, that is still happening, but that doesn't mean for both of them to defer. And that plays into income planning. And sometimes the assets need that help also, especially when in down markets. Would I like to draw less on managed assets? Absolutely. I would like to draw more on assets that are not affected by risk. And that's something where we take households, families through these sequence of returns and show them basically, I can show it to you in a real simple way, even though we get deep into it, but a simple way to understand risk versus safe strategies and having that blended properly. But let's lean on income on the safer areas so we can give the ones that's going to make more return longer time to come out of this. And remember, one of the things you want to do is the sky's not falling. It's not falling. Yeah, there's some worries. We've had that in history before. But this is also, I'm glass half full, this is also opportunity. And we invest knowing that these problems are coming and volatility is not going away. You should expect more of what's going on in the future. So are you making decisions that's going to hurt you now and hurt for the long term? That's kind of like, well, I'm glad I exited 30 days ago. Well, then you're actually sad because the market's had a pretty good run up the past few weeks. That's where you might need a sounding board about these ideas and the reasoning. Reach out to my office, 504-832-9200. My website's GregoryRicks.com. We're about to take a break. I'm going to be back for another hour, bunch more topics. You are listening to Winning at Life.
From the Gregory Ricks & Associates Wealth Management Studios, WRNO-FM, New Orleans, an iHeart radio station.
Just 10 days to go. I'm Pam Huso, Fox News. And with Election Day so close, the candidates are out full force, and some of them are enlisting the help of political heavyweights. Fox's Charles Watson is in Georgia.
Both Senator Raphael Warnock and Georgia gubernatorial candidate Stacey Abrams are back out on the campaign trail today after a big assist from former President Barack Obama at a Friday night rally here in Metro Atlanta. Mr. Obama made his case for the two candidates in front of thousands of excited Democrats, telling the crowd that Warnock and Abrams are the type of leaders who are not only hardworking, but also have values.
Warnock is in a close race with Republican Herschel Walker. Abrams continues to trail Brian Kemp. What was once considered a long shot is now considered a toss-up. The governor's race in New York continues to tighten, with Republican Lee Zeldin narrowing the gap with Democratic incumbent Kathy Hochul. Zeldin has made crime his central issue, and the message appears to be resonating with voters.
They don't want to be told that it's just a perception. What they want is boldness and courage, understanding that this can happen to anyone. Whether it's for them, it can happen to other people in their lives.
Hochul has chosen to focus primarily on abortion. The husband of House Speaker Nancy Pelosi remains hospitalized in San Francisco. Police say a man looking for the speaker, shouting, "Where's Nancy? Where's Nancy?" attacked Mr. Pelosi with a hammer. Tragedy on the streets of South Korea's capital. Officials say a stampede in Seoul has left about 50 people in cardiac arrest. At least 2 people have died. Police say first responders rushed to the scene to administer CPR to victims. The crowd surge happened during Halloween festivities. America's listening to Fox News.
Stay on top of the latest forecast with America's Weather Team in the palm of your hands.
Here's the latest from America's Weather Center.
It's Fox weather updates throughout your busy day, every day.
5 inches of rain by tomorrow.
Temperatures being 30 degrees above average.
Put the power of over 100 meteorologists and the worldwide resources of Fox in your hands with the Fox Weather Podcast. Precise, personal, powerful. Subscribe and listen now at foxnewspodcasts.com. Connect to Fox News Audio on the Fox News app. Listen to hear your favorite hosts like Brian Kilmeade, Jimmy Fallon, and Guy Benson standing up for what's right, live and via podcast. Just click listen, then swipe right and hear the latest news updates on your time. And scroll down to hear the latest podcasts from Fox News. And it's even easier to listen in the car with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Get programming alerts and notifications. Fox News Audio is on the Fox News app. The voices America trusts. Download it now.
The economy and crime are 2 of the biggest issues heading into the midterm elections. Immigration is another one, as migrants continue to enter the country illegally.
We understand what is coming across that border. We see it every single day. We should be dealing with between 30 to 40,000 apprehensions per month. And typically that's single adults, not family units, not children. But what's happening is our hands are completely tied. And so the smugglers are able to get across anything that they want to get across.
Branton Judd is the president of the National Border Patrol Council. The White House has repeatedly argued the border is secure, but has recently implemented a policy to turn away migrants from Venezuela. A high school football game was delayed by about an hour yesterday after a chain reaction crash on a highway in Ohio involving 3 school buses and a pickup truck. An official in Westchester Township says 8 people suffered minor injuries. There was a big unforced error at the World Series last night, and it happened before play even started.
6-time Grammy Award nominee Eric Burton of the Black Pumas sang the anthem before the Houston Astros and the Philadelphia Phillies played Game 1. He got off to a strong start.
Oh, say, can you see?
But soon ran into trouble.
At the twilight's last streaming.
Of course, the right word is gleaming, so Burton kind of backtracked without correcting the mistake. The rest of the song came off without a hitch. Social media reaction was mixed, with some expressing shock that Burton messed up and others showing sympathy. Kevin Uretsky, Fox News.
And I'm Pam Huso, Fox News.
Ask Gregory is a financial podcast from the guys who bring you Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
I'm your host, Gregory Ricks, a financial advisor here to answer your questions and help you win with your money.
Find the Ask Gregory podcast on the Winning at Life app, the iHeartRadio app, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify.
That's exactly what I needed to know. Simple information from good people.
Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC. Ask Gregory is a financial podcast from the guys who bring you Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
Could this be your Social Security, your 401k, pension, lump sum, your debt, student debt, credit cards?
You all are so good. I've listened to you for years. Sometimes I'll pull over to the side of the road and just listen.
Find the Ask Gregory podcast on the Winning at Life app, the iHeartRadio app, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
Hey, y'all. Happy Halloween. Scary weekend. Some people will say in a scary world. I've been using this phrase a good bit lately. The pendulum has swung in one direction, maybe too much. And it's going to swing back. It's done in the past. If you look at history, you know, I like looking at me some history because it teaches us things. And then it's kind of like, oh my gosh, that's the way it used to be. It used to happen that way. I was on the break between hours. Well, let's be clear. This is Winning at Life. I'm your host, Gregory Ricks. I'm ready to just get into the weeds here. So sometimes I forget. I brought in more listeners this hour, and welcome to the show, and you're very appreciated. All of our longtime listeners and newbies as well. This is live financial news talk radio. Been doing this show for better than 12 years, and I really enjoy being a sounding board for you and sharing my thoughts and stuff I continually learn and what I've learned over the years, and being a financial advisor, CEO and founder of Gregory Ricks and Associates, the Total Wealth Authority. We're an advisory firm. Offices in Gulfport, Mississippi, Metairie, Louisiana, Mandeville, Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. So not only do we have those offices, but we can do Zoom meetings. We work with clients across the country, as well as being a sounding board. That office number, by the way, is 504-832-9200. As far as this show, if one of the magic things about this show is the listener that calls in and asks questions. We've already had callers this morning. And I started defining that a little differently today because I said, you know what it really is? The listeners know this show is a sounding board. They're getting a lot of information, ideas. Maybe think about things differently. And you can call into the show. First off, we have the Winning at Life app as a way to connect you because you can call, text, email through the app. That will get you membership into the Winning at Life Nation, so you'll get weekly updates on the podcasts that we have and you should connect with that on whatever method you use for listening to podcasts. And we have a number of seasons of shows essentially grouped by topic. The website, GregoryRicks.com, is a great resource. And we even have on the news blog is where we connect articles, and then you get a sample of my reading and stuff that I think's relevant for you, will help you increase your knowledge and make better decisions. And that's what this is about, is making better financial decisions. Let's reduce the bad ones, especially the ones that can hurt you a good bit. Let's limit those. So I was speaking with my wife Stacy on the break there, and it was and this is we need to have a voice and use our voice to make things better. And I remember having wine, and I'll say dinner and wine, up in Colorado Springs a number of years back, and we had the chance to meet this Navy SEAL team leader, and this was after 9/11, and he was talking about his girls, and as far as what does Daddy do, and if you ask one of his daughters, they would tell you. This is what they would tell him. He says he puts bad guys in timeout. And in talking to him and listening, and it was some awesome stories about how they are, and we think of them as military, but I think of them more as a business operation with a very defined process that they stick to. Very processed and methodical, and they don't do anything without a backup plan. But one of the things that came to mind when I was speaking with Stacy about crime during the break between the hour 2 and the start of this third hour this morning, which is afternoon now because we're after 12, is I remember him telling us is we have to keep doing what we do so that the bad guys have to look over their shoulder because they know we're coming. Because if the bad guys don't have to look out over their shoulder, the terrorists and all that, then they got free reign to do what they want. Because the bad guys from the terrorist standpoint and all, they're going to get killed. That's the timeout for them. We're not going to go lock them up somewhere. We take them out from a military standpoint. And they're very processed operationally about how, like the Navy SEALs and those special people do things like that. One of the things, and this came up because the news clip was over what happened in Pelosi's house yesterday and stuff, and no matter where you are politically, we don't want bad things to happen to people, regardless of who they are. But I said, here's the problem is because some reason we've got lax on crime, saying, well, if you just tell them not to do it again and they won't do it, and it'll be fine. Well, that hasn't worked out that well, has it? And part of why that happened to her house and why so much is happening, and you've seen it if you're watching the news or if you watch a channel that actually carries news instead of opinion on what's going on, you can see a lot of what's going on is criminals just go into stores, grab stuff, and just walk out with it. What is it? They're emboldened. They don't look back over their shoulder like they used to. They don't fear any consequences. November 8th is your chance to raise your voice, raise your hand that I want things to change. I want them to have consequences, look over their shoulder. Go vote November 8th.
Ask Gregory is a financial podcast from the guys who bring you Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
Would this be your Social Security, your 401k, pension, lump sum, your debt, student debt, credit cards?
You all are so good. I've listened to you for years. Sometimes I'll pull over to the side of the road and just listen.
Find the Ask Gregory podcast on the Winning at Life app, the iHeartRadio app, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
What's cooking, Gumbo Nation? This is Dwayne Stein, your local mortgage lender. Bread prices up. Milk is up. Inflation way up. I know this can all be overwhelming. That's why you need to know I got you. Tens of thousands have trusted me and my team with their largest investment, the home. So while things look cloudy, let's work to make sure when the dust settles, your family is ready to take advantage. Visit mortgagegumbo.com.
If you like money, you'll love the Winning at Life app. On the Winning at Life app, you can listen to the show live, and if we're not on at the moment, you can hear a replay of the latest episode of Winning at Life. Whether you're getting a late start on your retirement savings or keeping up with the financial news, Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks is there, on demand. Hear the Winning at Life show on the Winning at Life app, your wallet's favorite app.
2 questions. Do you have a pulse? Do you own anything? If you said yes to both, you probably need a will. You may even need a trust. We all know a lawyer. Do you know someone who specializes in estate planning? Do you really trust the husband of your sister's friend from college? Or would you feel better putting your family in the hands of the estate planning attorney of the Total Wealth Authority? I'm Wes Blanchard. What's your plan? Offices in Metairie and at wjblanchardlaw.com.
The Ricks Report with Gregory Ricks.
What we found through history, looking at the past 90 years, most fund managers don't outperform or perform as well as the indexes. Using indexing, historicals teach us skew a higher return. And yes, there's bad stocks in the S&P 500 as it looks right now, and yet the index is up. I like to use index ETFs because those are much lower expense ratios. We try our best in managing our portfolios to avoid trading costs, and we know I've been doing this for 30 years. I've studied trading strategies. You're not going to outsmart the indexes. You may get lucky, you may get unlucky.
Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks, Saturday mornings at 10 on News Talk 99.5 WRNO. Find us on the Winning at Life app or GregoryRicks.com. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
Hey, y'all. Welcome back. Yeah, this is live financial news talk radio. I did my public service just then. Get out the vote. We all get to have input. It's called a vote. Otherwise, don't seem like we have much say, but we can vote with our pocketbook with who we can support and not support. But voting is pretty important. Maybe we'll have record turnouts that and voice our need for change, and I think less crime makes everything better. And those people that commit crimes, I want them to become better people. I really do, but just telling them to do so doesn't necessarily get us there. It might take some reinforcement there. It's like making bad investment decisions. You want to limit that, don't you? Need some reinforcement there. Maybe you need some coaching. Maybe you need a sounding board. Maybe you need some help with it. Because if it's not going well, it's just like trying to time the market where somebody recently... And I have these discussions. You know what I do in my day job? Gregory Ricks and Associates, the Total Wealth Authority. We're money managers. We're We're investment advisors. We help people with income planning and investment management, investment decisions, tax planning, creating tax efficiency, estate planning. The taxes are a pretty big deal to talk about, and had a number of discussions this week about why consider Roth conversions. And some people say, well, that's like eating an elephant. That's like an elephant. I said, well, you know how you eat an elephant, don't you? One bite at a time. We don't have to Roth everything. Let's just take off a bite, absorb that, then do it again. Doesn't mean you do it from now on or do everything, but start an impact of it. Here's a description. Say you're age 60. And you want to Roth 100,000. Well, I don't want you to do it at once. I'd rather you do it at a bite at a time. Let's make it simple. Let's use compounding return of 7.2%, rule of 72. So your money would double every 10 years. And let's say you're age 57. Let's Roth 33,000 this year. Then next year 33,000. Then that next year, 34,000. So we've done $100,000. And let's say we're at 0% return. You're at age 60. That money's Roth, and you've paid taxes on it. We paid taxes with outside funds, let all of that convert, because you're under age 59 and a half, so you'd have penalty if you use some of that money on the conversions. There's no income limits on conversions. But here's why we're doing it. It's the magic of compounding interest, the thing that got me into this industry. Back in high school, and I'm a car guy, I was up under a car and shop up in Purvis, Mississippi. And I was there, and I love me some cars and working, and that's something I've always could do. I think everything I see, money management, I see mechanically. And maybe that's a gift that I see everything that way. Computers are like no issue. I see them mechanically. So just like cars. I was up under a car and I said, God, I really like this as a hobby, but not as a job. But the compounding interest, I said, I want to be a part of figuring that out. And that's, been the career of getting here, with starting in high school, reading self-help books and learning to deal with people and all that. Zig Ziglar books, self-help, sales, stuff like that. It's all people stuff, becoming a better person and learning to deal with people. So the compounding of interest. So now we take that. We've got 100,000 at age 60. And let's say we average 7.2% return. In 10 years, that 100,000 goes to 200,000. And then that takes you to age 70. So we keep it working. We're not Rothing any more money. So now we've taken 100,000 to 200,000. We've got 100,000 of tax-free growth. So at age 7, we just keep it working. At age 80, we've got 400,000. And then at age 90, 800,000. If you live to 100, you're at 1.6. You say, well, Greg, I'm not. Okay. You and your spouse pass away and you leave it to your kids. Because it's a Roth account, they don't have to take RMDs, and they have 10 years before they have to pull it all out. Well, they take it to $1.6 million. And how much taxes was paid? What amount were taxes paid on that? $100,000. Talk about creating a legacy there. But on the other hand, instead of it being leave behind, because some people say, well, Gregory, I'm not worried about the kids. They're all doing well. They got plenty of money. I said, well, if everything goes well, you're going to leave money behind. But with that said, on the other hand, and I talk to people about this, so, well, I just want to make sure it's all left behind. That is a good idea. great concept, except we don't know how things are going to play out. Back into your life, we could have rampant inflation again like we're having now. It costs more. What our bigger concern is healthcare costs, and it's going to cost more. And you may need to spend some of that money on the back end. I'm telling you, having $1.6 million of Roth money that there's no taxes, that money goes a lot further than taxable money. So if you've got $1 million that you've deferred out there in Roth, and it started with $33,000 a year for 3 years, and now later in life, and you're going to live into your 90s probably, now you've got this money. If you had $1 million in that tax-infested IRA account, and you got to start taking money out, roughly neighborhood of Uncle Sam's going to get about 40% of it. So really, what's the cashable part of that? Is $600K. But if it's a Roth account, what's the cashable portion of that $1 million? $1 million. And let's say you got one of those fat 401ks right now, or IRA combinations of asset. You got let's say you got $1 million. So tell me, what's the problem on shifting 100,000? Stocks are down, values are down. You're getting a discount on the taxes on an asset that's going to go up. Not only is this an investing opportunity if you have the proper asset classes to invest in where things rotate in your favor, it's a tax opportunity as well, because these values are going to go back up and be worth much more in the future based on history. We have no guarantee, but what's it always done? It always comes back. I've got a spreadsheet here I updated this morning during the breaks, and I'm going to talk to you about it. And when I come back, so we've kind of hit on a number of topics. That was a great one regarding taxes. Let's see. I've got so much. Outlook for markets, volatility. Volatility's here to stay. I think right now, look, we had a signal come off yesterday that kind of said buy on Monday. It's part of our decision process, but we also on our quantitative tactical, basically that asset class is still in treasuries. We'll see if there's some new signals on that on Monday, if that changes, but the market's had a little bit of a run up now, so it's not so scary. So, and those that are like, oh my gosh, I got to get out, sell everything, well, you can't miss these run-ups, and that's why, here's what I believe in. I believe in multiple asset classes. I like me some stocks. I like me some bonds, because they usually counterbalance, but not in a year like this. They're both down. I like quantitative tactical, because that follows momentum, and when there's no momentum, it's neither cash or short-term treasuries. I like buffers also. Say, well, I'd like to get it to work. I just don't want much exposure to going down or none. So I can limit or have no, subject to how much further the market moves down, we can really protect you on that side, reduce that exposure, but have you getting the upside of a portion of the upside when it comes back. Then I like index-linked investing, where I take risk completely off. Even when market downs, what we're connected to gets reduced to a lower level when it resets, and I like the annual reset on that. I want to get the upside. So when I give you those 5 asset classes, and there's one that's really technically not a model or asset class, but it's how the investor thinks. I like me some risk, but not too much. What I want is rotation, so my money moves in favor to me. And here's another one of my Gregoryisms. Nothing works all the time. Even investing, nothing works all the time. That's why we need rotation. We don't panic. If we had sold, like, oh my gosh, sky's falling, get out, then you miss this run up back. Some of your money's got to stay pat while you make adjustments along the course. You're listening to Winning at Life. We'll be back in about 3 minutes.
You all are so good. I've listened to you for years.
Ask Gregory is a financial podcast from the guys who bring you Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
I am near retirement, and I wish I would have been listening to y'all for the last couple of years.
Learn the ins, outs, do's, don'ts, rules, and tools of the financial world.
I have a broker. He has no idea what you and I just talked about.
From your 401k to your IRA to your pension to your Social Security to your Medicare.
Hi, Greg. Appreciate your service to the community.
From your ETFs to your precious metals.
The program helps to ground me. There's some personal, real life there.
Find the Ask Gregory podcast on the Winning at Life app, the iHeartRadio app, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify, and wherever else you can find podcasts, probably.
That's exactly what I needed to know.
Hey, I love your show.
Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC. The firm is not affiliated with the U.S. government or any governmental agency.
What does your ideal retirement look like? Is it traveling the world, fishing whenever you want, spending time with the grandkids, or maybe you don't know yet? Hi, I'm Gregory Ricks. Let us help you plan the retirement you deserve. Give us a call or go to GregoryRicks.com to schedule a visit. We are Gregory Ricks & Associates, the Total Wealth Authority.
The firm provides insurance services, investment, and advisory services. Offered only by duly registered individuals through AE Wealth Management, LLC. AE Wealth Management, LLC, and Gregory Ricks & Associates are not affiliated companies.
If you like money, you'll love the Winning at Life app. On the Winning at Life app, you can listen to the show live, and if we're not on at the moment, you can hear a replay of the latest episode of Winning at Life. Whether you're getting a late start on your retirement savings or keeping up with the financial news, Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks is there, on demand. Hear the Winning at Life show on the Winning at Life app, your wallet's favorite app.
Cancer Crusaders has been raising funds for cancer research in New Orleans since 1976. Cancer Crusaders, Inc. is a nonprofit, all-volunteer organization with no administrative overhead. Cancer Crusaders has raised over $4 million so far, and all of that money goes to the Louisiana State University Health Sciences Center Foundation and the Tulane Cancer Center in New Orleans, where they are literally working on a cure for cancer. Get involved, donate, volunteer, or attend a fundraiser. CancerCrusadersLA.com.
Fox News, I'm Karen McHugh. Setting the record straight on gas prices despite what President Biden is claiming.
Speaking in Philadelphia last night, the president lashed out at oil companies. Yes, gas prices hit an all-time high of over $5 a gallon back in June, but the average price of gallon of regular unleaded gasoline across the country is not $3.29 right now, as the president claims. It's $3.76, according to AAA, about 60% higher than when Biden was sworn into office. It's not just the price of gas that has spiked since he took office, of course, just about all household goods.
Fox's Lucas Tomlinson. Ohio's Democratic candidate for governor is keeping the abortion issue front and center in her campaign.
What I see across the state of Ohio, frankly, is the freedom being lost in this state by Mike DeWine's extreme action around the 6-week abortion ban.
Nan Whaley on Fox's Cavuto Live. Election day is 1 week from Tuesday. America is listening to Fox News.
Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks is a copyright of Down South Strategies for the private use of our audience. Any unauthorized use of this broadcast without express consent is prohibited. For podcasts, show information, and contacts to our sponsors, go to winningatlife.com or download the Winning at Life app. If you have a financial situation and you're not quite sure what to do, you better call Gregory. We are Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
'Cause you make me wanna pull this truck to the side of the road, slide on over, let me hold you close until.
You're listening to Winning at Life, live financial news talk radio. If you would like more of what you're hearing on the show, what you hear is what you get. So even in my day job, founder, CEO of Gregory Ricks & Associates, and my team of A players that we have at our firm, at our offices in Metairie, Louisiana, Bandeville, Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, Gulfport, Mississippi, Zoom meetings to help people, phone conversations. We have a team of A players to assist you. we do make the investment decisions, and we have a process to everything that we do. And if we're not a fit together, meaning part of our fit is that you're a good person, nice person to our team, a good steward of your money. So we have to believe you're going to make good decisions with your money going forward, and believe in our process, because our process is designed to help you win with your money. You think we're in business to lose money, to make bad decisions? No, I've done this for a long time. There's no experimentation. There's a process, and any alterations to the process, we get into the weeds and we talk about investing. I've already told you, I've followed compounding interest since I was a teenager. So this is something that is not just seat of my pants. I'm very involved with our institutional guidance and other firms that we work with to do this. So we don't take any decision lightly. And at my core beliefs for our partners and all that we work with to take care of you, we have to be a fit. And I don't also, outside of compliance and government rules and oversight, we have input and we follow my philosophy. And we do it in a way that keeps money rotating in your favor and give you ideas, whether it's Roth conversions, tax planning, income planning, investment planning, all is designed to help you. And if we're not a fit, it is okay. I have these occasionally discussions where I kind of say we might not be a fit, and it's okay. People are always worse. They go in and talk to somebody and think, oh, they're going to talk me into it. I'm going to have to make a decision. I got to go forward. No, we even tell that to existing clients. If you've changed on that, we might not be a fit, and it's okay. And I think that's important in having a relationship and comfort there. And and there was a discussion recently that I saw an email come across, and I call up the client, and that person was working with one of my hubs, and I'll define that after this, so make sure I forget. Hub, exclamation, don't forget to explain that. So working with one of my hubs, and they had called Fidelity, which is where we custody, Fidelity Investments, that is, where we custody assets and request stuff to be sold, and then they got reinvested, because in our model, we put cash to work if that's what's supposed to happen in that scenario, because of how we model and our stocks, bonds, quantitative, tactical, buffers, and index links. So it's kind of, if that money's supposed to be working, we have it working. It's not like your money's going to be forgot or missed or oversighted. We're on it. And they had actually talked to one of the members of the hub a few days before, but didn't express what they were going to do. Well, here's behind the scenes what they were doing. Somebody else got in their ear, and remember, I talking to them about leaving our firm and going with them. So obviously they were successful because they called Fidelity directly, which they wouldn't have known to do that if somebody hadn't have told them that, but they were given bad advice. But once again, I went over the stocks, bonds, buffering, quantitative, tactical, and index linked. So when you kind of consider this volatility this year, probably less than 25% of their assets were exposed to downside. Somewhere around 50 to 70% of their assets at this point has zero downside exposure based on those allocations. But somehow sometimes I tell people this, you might want to watch less news. News is scary at times. They're selling headlines, magazines, newspapers. The headlines is, oh, sky's falling. So that you look, well, where is it falling at? I need to know. And it worries them. But what happened is they sold that, and they were upset that the money was put back to work. I said, well, nobody informed us. I looked at the account. I don't see anything there, but I will investigate it and get back to you. And this was Friday evening after hours. I called them. I said, this is me calling and checking in and responding to your email. But on Monday, we'll get back to you. Well, if they had, and the relationship had been for a number of years, but I don't know where the distrust is, because if you wanted to disengage us, it's actually easy. But they ended up costing themselves money doing it on that side, the workaround on us. But whoever was in their ear is probably an insurance licensed only firm, and they could not move the assets with it in position. So it's kind of telling by how they went about it. But they could have just called us directly and say, hey, we don't think we're a fit anymore. We want to move elsewhere. We'd have talked to them about it, but if that's what they want to do, it's what they can do. It's their money. And to understand, when you give a firm that's managing your money, where you got risk, where you got stocks, and you're using a brokerage account, if you give an order of instructions to do this, they have to do it. Just to be clear. But we want relationship with people that are comfortable in hiring us and would be comfortable in firing us. And it's supposed to be a discussion. And if somebody gets in your ear, and I'm telling you, they weren't given good advice, and we actually informed that. All you had to do was talk to us. But that probably they already have regret. I'm sure of it in that situation. But, you should have a relationship where you're hearing these ideas and other things, that we're that sounding board, that you can have that discussion. Because I can tell you, whoever they went to doesn't do anything that we can't do. We just may not want to do it because it is not in the client's best interest. So there's sometimes there were the philosophy change. Well, I want this. I want you to buy this. I want you to do that. We may not be a fit, because we do have a belief system and a strategy, and we do this, have done this for a long time, and we manage a lot of assets. So just for you listening out there, I think this was very telling and an understanding of what we're looking for. Volatility's here to stay, and what you've got is an opportunity to take advantage of. And just don't make quick decisions without a discussion. Here's what the hub is. And I had an advisor come in and talk to me about joining our firm. And we kind of went through our hub, and I defined a hub. And we have more than one of these at the firm, but it's 2 advisors, 2 service people, an advisor's assistant, and I'm at the center of the hub. That's the team that's helping you, working with you, looking out for you. And the gentleman told me this. He said, well, at my firm, and it's a big name place, he said, it's different. At our firm, it's me doing that. Well, outside of that hub I mentioned, we have more people that help that hub as well. But he says, I'm the only one doing everything. So for all those people there, he leaves that firm, which he's on the hunt. Well, who are they connected to? We're realistic in understanding somebody's going to be on vacation, somebody's going to get sick, their kids get sick, or they may want to go do something else. But what you have is continuity, that team of people that know you and you know them. And if somebody does leave the team, nothing is getting missed. And very importantly, because there's a process to everything. So that's kind of what our hub is about. So, guys, gosh, I'm going to try to get through my list here, but we're about to come on break of the last segment. Oh my gosh. You're listening to Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks. If you want to join the conversation, 504-260-0995. We'll be back in about 3 minutes.
If you've got a financial situation and you're not quite sure what to do, better call Gregory.
One of the things I'm going to find out is, what do you think you're going to need a month to continue your lifestyle? And if they're not sure, I say, well, what are you spending now? Because I don't think it's going to be a whole lot different. One thing I'll suggest is you need to do a little bit of homework. You need to go look at your outflow from your checking account the past 6 months. Now, sometimes people will pay their bills on a quarterly basis, or, well, I pay my insurance once a year on the house. Well, go back a year and average it out to see what you're needing to pay. And then you have a handle, because now that tells me the net number. So now we have to go back, look at your overall income need. Where does that fit in tax brackets, and get to a gross number?
Call Gregory Ricks and Associates, 504-832-9200 or GregoryRicks.com. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
Mom, it stinks.
Hush, I'm almost done. All right, now you're safe from bugs in the backyard. Don't let mosquitoes ruin your outdoor fun. Call Mosquito Joe today. When you call, they come out and they do the spraying. Mosquito Joe's time-release capsule lasts for about a month. No more sticky bug sprays. Take back your backyard. NewOrleans.MosquitoJoe.com. NewOrleans.MosquitoJoe.com.
Ask Gregory is a financial podcast from the guys who bring you Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
I'm your host, Gregory Ricks, a financial advisor here to answer your questions and help you win with your money.
Find the Ask Gregory podcast on the Winning at Life app, the iHeartRadio app, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify.
That's exactly what I needed to know. Simple information from good people.
Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
The Ricks Report with Gregory Ricks.
Can you raise your payout on your Social Security after full retirement by continuing working and paying in more? Do you get a raise for that?
Remember, the core thing is Social Security benefits you receive are based on your best 35 years. If you have less than 35 years, those are filled in with zeros. So if you're making more money this year that replaces, say, that first year of the 35, it is inflation adjusted. That will improve your benefit. And they reset that, they recalculate that every year. So even while you're drawing benefits, you could well be incrementally improving your benefits.
Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks, Saturday mornings at 10 on News Talk 99.5 WRNO. Find us on the Winning at Life app or GregoryRicks.com. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
Welcome back. Winning at Life. I'm your host, Gregory Ricks. Join us every Saturday here from 10 to 1. Tell friends and family you found a place, you found a sounding board. Whether it's coming into my office to have a fit discussion or listening to the show and bouncing some ideas off or questions about what should I do. What we want to do is make good decisions. ESG has been a topic. You know what that is: environmental, social governance. And in some cases, this has kind of gotten political, because I get asked about this. And some of the ETFs and institutional money management we utilize has been in the news about this. But I'll tell you what, when you go look at what we do and how it's impacted by ESG, oh my gosh, it's so tiny, if it is, in fact. Because on stocks, I like indices. You know, historically, let me see, active management or indices, which skews a higher return? It's not the active management there. And one reason I like I want diversification. And the indices keep the good companies in. the bad out, the weaker out. And let me see, you're going to go with your money and buy 500 stocks? That's a lot of diversification. Are you going to have the proper asset classes? We and our partners do not make decisions based on ESG. We make decisions based on growing assets and making money and making decisions that are in the best interest. So it isn't like we're going to focus on no fossil fuels, only electric cars, wind turbines. We're not doing it that way. Our institutional partners probably are the largest investors in fossil fuels out there. And we believe that's an important part of the future, not to negate that Tesla's not going to be around a long time, and Tesla's one of the more valuable companies. You take about the top 10 car companies, and their values equal that. And if you've been a listener to the show, I've not been a big fan of Tesla because I'm like, yeah, I was wrong. I did not think that company would go to those prices. Okay. Yeah. And once again, we're not here to stock pick and anything, but, for somebody to go put a lot of money in Tesla, I think it's too risky. It turned out well for them. But those on the other side is crypto, and we've not been a fan of that ever. And this year we saw $1 trillion in crypto investments just disappear. And it turns out there is a lot of fraud, a lot of Ponzi-like stuff going on in that industry. That's why I advocate diversification. And we make decisions that are based upon growing your money. It's kind of like, I just want Bible Belt companies, or I want Christian firms. So, and we've had those questions in the past, and I said, we don't make decisions based on just that. Some of that fits in there, but we're not making social decisions. We're making decisions about making money going forward. And if you want a focus on ESG, then we might not be a fit because we're not focused as a determining factor. That's kind of more accidental. Because like if you have an S&P 500 fund that has ESG on there, well, it's still an S&P 500 fund. Only thing that might be tweaked is weighting. And if I compared ESG S&P versus non-S&P ESG, depending on what period, but we were looking at last year's numbers, the ESG was slightly up. It's pretty much the same darn thing. Sometimes weighting can be a little bit different. Don't get caught up upon something like that and cause it to make you make a decision that causes you to lose money or interrupt the compounding of your money. And I'll tell you, and I believe all money is green. I have no bias to your religion or any other preference that you have, whether you're Democrat or Republican. We're here to help you make decisions with your money. And we don't talk about your social or environmental stance. You're coming to us because we're going to make money. We want to grow money. That's our objective, and to do and give you advice, be that sounding board to help you make better decisions. And I can tell you where I land on the aisle. I'm conservative. But depending if we break down to some topics, then I'm probably in the middle. Some things I could fall in on the left. But I'm firm, and I want to make good decisions going forward, and we want to help people. We are of service. There's my talk on ESG. Hopefully that helps you there. I don't know. We might repurpose that for the podcast also. So once again, I keep talking about a sounding board, and we also want to be a place like the show is, our firm, that sounding board. You know, if you got friends, family, business associates, they've got to make a decision, or they're worried, like, oh my gosh, what should I do? Sky is falling. You can let them know there's somebody you can tell them to say, hey, call Gregory's office. They can help you out with that. I had somebody also this week kind of say, well, Gregory, y'all just aren't, you know, with your investment, y'all aren't aggressive enough for me. Well, I don't believe in putting all the money in stocks either, because why? There's rotation. Let me see, how are stocks doing this year? Vanguard's S&P 500 fund, as of yesterday, is off 17.9%. Their total return bond fund's off 15.48%. Our tactical's not off that much because, like, it's in cash right now. Buffers, not down. Like, if you have a 10% buffer, well, then you would only be off 7.9%. If you have a 20% buffer, you wouldn't be down at all. You know, that kind of gives you an example of that. Now, the buffers limit how much the upside can be. You're not getting all the upside. Index linked. If you're using an index linked investment where the insurance company picks up the risk, how much are you off this year? 0. How much are you up this year? 0. I believe that should be in the mix. So when I talk about all those asset classes there, so when you kind of, and I've got a workbook here I'm sitting looking at, there's no way I can go through these numbers. I probably need a whole segment for that, but I think all this works hand in hand. And when you kind of look at, when you're in stocks and it loses money, you got to make up 17.9%, and getting 17% up from here does not get you back whole. You're going to need a good bit more. But if you're down 0 and you start making money on an up year next year, guess what? You're making money and you're not having to make up lost ground. And on bonds, you don't either. And that's why I think it's important. If I look at 2000 through this year of 2022, you know, stocks are up about 8% on average over that period. The index linked with 50% par, 50% of the upside, you're up a little over 6%, same time period. So there isn't a great divergence there. But, you know, being down 17%, that's a chunk of money off that you've got to make up. Hey, if you want to continue this discussion, it's real easy. Call my office, 504-832-9200. The website's GregoryRicks.com. Come back and see us next week. We'll be here. We appreciate you. Happy Halloween. Have a safe, joyous weekend.
Firm offers insurance services. Gregory Ricks & Associates is an independent financial services firm that utilizes a variety of investment and insurance products. Investment advisory services offered only by duly registered individuals through AE Wealth Management, LLC. AE Wealth Management and Gregory Ricks & Associates are not affiliated companies. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims-paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This radio show is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for a financial decision, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual's situation. Gregory Ricks & Associates is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during this show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein, provided by third parties, have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by Gregory Ricks & Associates. Please remember that converting an employer plan account to a Roth IRA is a taxable event. Increased taxable income from the Roth IRA conversion may have several consequences, including, but not limited to, a need for additional tax withholding or estimated tax payments, the loss of certain tax deductions and credits, and higher taxes on Social Security benefits and higher Medicare premiums. Be sure to consult with a qualified tax advisor before making any decisions regarding your IRA. Neither AE Wealth Management nor advisors providing investment investment advisory services through AE Wealth Management, recommend or facilitate the buying or selling of cryptocurrencies. Third parties and guests of the show are not affiliated with, nor do their opinions reflect those of Gregory Ricks and Associates or AE Wealth Management. AE Wealth Management provides services without regard to political affiliation, and the views of individual advisors are not necessarily the views of AE Wealth Management. We are Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
WRNO FM, New Orleans, an iHeart radio station. Available everywhere on our free iHeart radio app. #1 for music, radio, and podcasts, all in one.